Order, Madam Speaker. Order, please, Madam Speaker.
Sicela sithathe lesithuba sigebise amakhanda sikhuleke buthule. Amen.
Amen.
Honorable members, let us take a moment in our thoughts and prayers to remember those souls who have departed from us since our last sitting in November 2022, either due to natural causes, murders, or accidents. Miss Nkosikhona Mdlalose, who was a regional chairperson of the Women's League in the Mzala Nxumalo region, a Ward 12 councillor in the Abaqulusi local municipality of the Zululand district municipality, Mr. Mpendulo Khumalo, who was in the same car with Miss Nkosikhona Mdlalose, Mr. Cuthbert Nzuza, a senior communications officer and shop steward in the office of the Premier, Mr. Mark Sefontaine, state law advisor and deputy information officer in the office of the Premier, Dr. Frini Noshir Jinwala, human rights and gender activist, journalist, intellectual, feminist, former NEC member of the African National Congress, and the first ever Speaker of the Democratic Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, Dr. Elliot Ntombela, who was a municipal manager of Ugu District Municipality, Mr. Jabulani Zondi, Director of Labor Relations in the Department of Health, Ms. Phumlile Mtiane, who was a district mayor in the Ugu municipality, also a member of the provincial task team of the African National Congress Women's League in KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. John Dungi Mueti, a former professional football player for Orlando Pirates, who played also for the South African national team Bafana Bafana, who also was at the forefront of the union of the football players in the Republic of South Africa. Inkosi Zwelakhe Ndaba of Ntabamhlophe in Escort, Dr. Walter Bekithemba Ngcobo, former CEO of the Moses Kotane Institute, Mr. Kinen, aka Forbes, a renowned musician, Mr. Tebelo Tiz Mutswane, a celebrity chef and author who was also killed with Mr. Forbes in Durban, Sergeant Vusi Mabena, a South African National Defense soldier who was killed in the Democratic Republic of Congo when the Orange helicopter came under fire in Goma. Mr. Bongani Nombembe Mkhize, induna yebutho lesilwe eMbumbulu. Miss Angel Mchunu, who served in the executive committee of the Umgungundlovu District Municipality. Mr. Peter Jones, a struggle stalwart who was part of the establishment of the first branch of the Black People's Convention in the Western Cape in the 1970s. He later served as vice president of the Azanian People's Organization and was arrested alongside Bantu Steve Biko, who were during the apartheid time. Her Royal Highness Princess Alice, the daughter of King Solomon Gadinizulu. Mr. Sipho Judah Mthethwa, chairperson of the Umhlabuya Lingana Society Against Crime in Northern KwaZulu-Natal, who was at the forefront of the fight against cross-border crime in the areas of Umkhanyakude, especially those crimes that involved the theft of cars across the Mozambique border. Mr. Rafiq Rohan, renowned journalist and former South African political prisoner on Robben Island, who was jailed alongside President Nelson Mandela and was the last prisoner to occupy President Mandela's old cell in Robben Island. And all others that may not have been recorded by this announcement. Honorable members and guests, let us now all rise to observe a moment of silence in respect and honor to all those who have departed. Wanga uThixo angabapha ukuphumula ingunaphakade. Honorable members, we will move now with the item number 3 on the order paper, announcements. We will start with apologies. We have an apology from the Honorable Alex H. Madlala, who has to attend for a family commitment from the 24th until the 24th of February until the 2nd of March. Honorable S. Ban Prakash, who is out of the country. Honorable members, on 3.2, following the appointment of Honorable B.M. Zuma as the member of the Executive Council responsible for agriculture and rural development, on 7 February 2023, he resigned as the Chief Whip of the African National Congress, thus vacating his position as the Chief Whip of the Legislature of KwaZulu-Natal. We have also received a resignation from the House, from the member Mr. S. Zikalala, who was a member of the Executive Council responsible for cooperative governance and traditional affairs, and Mr. K.I. Mshengu, who was an ordinary member, both from the component of the African National Congress. Following the resignation of the majority party Chief Whip, the African National Congress, as the majority party in this House, has appointed the Honorable Mr. J.S. Nxumalo as its Chief Whip, effective the 24th of February, 2023. Following his appointment as a Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Honorable Nxumalo, who was occupying the position of being the chairperson of the Economic Development Portfolio Committee, has resigned as the chairperson of the Economic Development Portfolio Committee. In terms of the roles of this House, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party becomes the Chief Whip of the Legislature. Honorable members, welcome your Chief Whip of the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Legislature, Mr. James Sikhosi P. Nxumalo. As we move on to 3.5, honorable members, there are further resignations. We further received 3 resignations from the economic freedom fighters. The Honorable A.V. Khoza resigned. The Honorable S.H. Mthethwa resigned. The Honorable L.G. Seja resigned. Honorable members, you would remember, if your memory is strong enough, that Honorable A.V. Khoza was the leader of the economic freedom fighters in the House, and Honorable Twala was the whip of the economic freedom fighters. Following the resignation of Honorable Khoza, we received correspondence that Honorable Twala was now the new leader of the economic freedom fighters in the House. We have not yet received correspondence on who is now the whip of the economic freedom fighters. Following the 3 resignations, honorable members, on Thursday, the 23rd of February, after the address by His Majesty, we saw in 3 members, Honorable Nkululeko Nkonzo Ngubane, unfortunately, honorable members, Honorable Ngubane was suspended. Order, honorable members. Honorable N.N. Ngubane was suspended in terms of Rule 65 on his very first day in the legislature. He will only be back in the legislature precinct tomorrow at the expiry of his 2-day suspension. Also, there was Honorable Tinkosi. Honorable Tinkosi, greet the House. You are welcome, honorable member. And Honorable H.P. Chiliza. Honorable members, welcome the 2 members. I should have sworn them in on Wednesday. We couldn't. Honorable members, I want to take this opportunity to wish belated happy birthday to the following members who celebrated their birthdays during the month of February and January. I hope your birthdays, honorable members, were everything that you had wished for. The Honorable B.M. Zuma, MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development, whose birthday was on the 2nd of January, Ngqamalanga. The Honorable V.F. Tabisa, the leader of the official opposition and the president of the IFP, whose birthday was on the 4th of January, Ngoche. Honorable T.P. Mthethwa, whose birthday was on the 6th of January, Nyambos. Honorable M. Tembe, whose birthday was on the 12th of January, Ngolanyama. Honorable E.V. Bapti, whose birthday was on the 15th of January, Mkhaya. Honorable N.J. Nkwanyana, whose birthday was on the 30th of January, Kwanyana. Honorable S.J. Nxumalo, whose birthday was on the 12th of February, Mlungu. Honorable N.M. Sibiya, whose birthday was on the 12th of February, Sotobe. Miss N.N. Boyce, whose birthday was on the 19th of February, I promise you it was everything that I wanted it to be. Honorable S. Moodley, whose birthday was on the 24th of February. All of you honorable members, we wish you the best. Honorable members, we will move to item number 4 on the order paper, announcements or reports by the Premier. Madam Premier.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you and all the honorable members. Honorable Speaker, I wish to make the following announcement. Our condolences, Madam Speaker. The matter of a former councillor and a community leader and principal, Mr. Judah Mthethwa in Manguzi, is one of the most painful indicators that crime is threatening to overwhelm our communities. The life of Nyambose was taken by bullets as he came under fire after arriving home a week ago. Mr. Mthethwa has distinguished himself as a premier defender of the people of Umkhanyakude, who face cross-border crimes every day of their lives. This family has lost a father, a husband, a friend, and a community leader, but also the people of KwaZulu-Natal and the entire nation has lost a hero that we should cherish in our history books forever. We condemn this act in the strongest terms. We will not let Mr. Mthethwa's passing be in vain, and we will honor his memory by continuing the work that he and his fight criming organization started, by standing up against crime and injustice, and by striking to make our community a better place for all. May I also take the opportunity to pass our sincere condolences to the families of the veteran journalist and struggle hero, Mr. Rafiq Rohan, who was killed in Durban a few days ago. Mr. Rohan was an MK soldier who once faced the death row for his part in the military missions commissioned by the Umkhonto weSizwe. To their families and loved ones, can we also pass our condolences to the family of Judge Levinson, a human rights activist who dedicated his life to uphold justice and rule of law in South Africa. Judge Levinson was a champion of human rights as he played an important role in the transition of democracy of our country. and he served as a judge in KwaZulu-Natal Division of the High Court. To the families of all the loved ones of these brave fighters who are our deepest, we send our deepest condolences. May their soul rest in peace. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we also wish to indicate that on the 24th of February, which is one of the subject, we are pleased to indicate that eThekwini will be hosting an energy transformation a summit that will be held from the 1st to the 2nd of March. The summit will be addressed by governments, by experts to seek to help to solve the sustainable basis, the burning challenges of energy in and around eThekwini and an extension of KwaZulu-Natal. The last one, Honorable Speaker and Chairperson, is that as we enter the month of March, this is the Human Rights Month tomorrow. We are marching steadily towards the Human Rights Day of 2023, which will be linked with the 21st of March 1960 Sharpeville massacre. On that day, 69 people died and 180 were wounded when police fired on a peaceful crowd that had gathered in the protest against the past laws. This day marked an affirmation by ordinary people rising in unison to proclaim their rights. As we attained democracy, it became an iconic date in our country's history and is marked as Human Rights Day, a reminder that the cost that was paid for these human rights, the cost that was paid for this democracy that we are all enjoying today. This year's Human Rights in KwaZulu-Natal will be held on the 21st of March. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. We will now move on to item 5, which is reports, tabling of reports or papers. Honorable members, the KwaZulu-Natal Legislature is tabling third quarter and consolidated institutional performance report on the achievements against the 2022-23 annual performance plan, budget performance in-year monitoring report for the month of November 2022, budget performance in-year monitoring report for the month of December 2022, budget performance in-year monitoring report for the month of January 2023, the KZN Treasury tables the revised annual performance plan for 22-23, consolidated financial statements for public entities for the year ended 31 March 2022. The KZN Public Service Commission tables the report on the service delivery inspections conducted at selected Department of Transport drivers license and testing centers in KwaZulu-Natal in September 2022. Report on the service delivery inspections conducted at selected Department of Social Development service offices in KZN in September 2022. Overview report on financial misconduct case for the 2021-2022 financial year, conducted over the month of November 2022. Report on 2021-2022 to the KZN Provincial Legislature in terms of Section 1964E of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa 1996. The Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs tables the Consolidated Municipal Annual Performance Report in terms of Section 47 of the Municipal Systems Act for the 2020-2021 financial year for the following municipalities: Ilembe District Municipality, Alfred Duma Municipality, and the eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality. Honorable members, are there any other reports or papers that are due for tabling that we may not have recorded in the above tablings? Seeing that there is none, we will move to item number 6, which is formal motions or notices by the Chief Whip. Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. There are no formal motions and notices for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members and our guests on the gallery, which have been drawn from various sectors by the public participation unit, including students from the Howard College in the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the DUT, and others from an area called Etafuleni, and some guests from the parliamentary constituency of Honorable Shinga. We are all here today for item number 7, which is the main order of the day, a debate on the state of the province address that was tabled to this House at the Oval Grounds by the Honorable Premier Nomusa Dube-Ncube. And we will start the debate by Honorable VP Kaluza, the Deputy Chief Whip of the Legislature, on behalf of the ANC for 8 minutes.
Honorable Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, Slalo Waga African National Congress, Lwandle Kalwelo, Honorable Members, Sothopo Mkhulu, Siyabingelela. 40 years ago, some of us were barely even a year old. Isifundazwe sethu sakhungathwa yife elimnyama. Lapho abafundi basenyuvesi yaSongoye babulawa ngesikhulu isihluku. Their sin was to be associated with the UDF and the African National Congress. This was not just plain brutality, but an indication of great political intolerance at the time. We remember and pay homage to their souls. What triggered this memory was when recently we witnessed sins that have left us all disappointed and ashamed, and reminded us of the painful history that left scars in many families. What we saw in KwaNongoma recently, lapho amakhansela eNkatha encamele ukududula imkhaba ahambeze ngoba engafuni ukulawulwa imithetho yalelizwe, was just an indication of what will become of us if the IFP were to regain power in this province. They are intolerant and they don't value this democracy. Abanye abadlula emhlabeni beyilwela. Maungakholwa, go to Mtubatuba municipality where the Kokta head of department was refused to execute his duties that are prescribed and protected by the laws that governs this country. We saw the same intolerance lapho lo masipala weNkatha wavimba khona wayengqongqoshe wezemidlalo nokungcebeleka la KwaZulu-Natal umhlonishwa ukaMavimbela when she was still the then MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture, where she was locked out of the hall, was bringing a program that spoke directly to the people in the arts sector. Angimangali ke ukuthi ontaba kayikhondwa. Babefuna ukuvimba lolu hlelo kwazise phela ngoba bona when it comes to the arts it only involves amabash namarali lawa esibabona enza, not what is going to sustain the arts. I'm glad that Honorable Mapena continues to ensure that the people in the arts sector are prioritized. We have seen her bringing the instruments, the musical instruments to various centers as well as in schools. Njengoba simbonile ezifikele qathatha esikoleni iKwaFica High School eMzumbe kanye naseKhandisa Primary School kwaDlangezwa, just to mention the few, which is an indication yokuthi African National Congress ufika noma kwamapha ama-corners and akekho selective. Akusimakazi ke ukubona iqembu le-EFF likhona la namhlanje. Kwazise phela sagcina ukubabona in their numbers ngelanga le-SOPA yanyakenye. Nakhona belu ngoba bakhona abezindaba. Ngiyafisa ke ukwazi ukuthi uyoyichaza ayithini umhlonishwa lo othenga kaqedi no 24 hours efungile kodwa namhlanje suspended in the house. I wonder bazo grandstand abathini ke namhlanje ngoba phela bahlale bengekho emsebenzini. Siyajabula ukubona ukuthi bakhona namhlanje ngoba ayibo ayiphuthi go i-EFF. Honorable Speaker, we welcome the State of the Province address as presented by the Premier uDadewethu uMhlonishwa uDube Ncube. We welcome this address, understanding that she took us through the road that has been traveled, but more so the journey that lies ahead. I must, however, indicate that I once stood here, Mhlonishwa uNdunankulu, and celebrated the plans towards the eradication of all Indela around the province, in particular in areas around eThekwini Metro. It has been disturbing to realize that a progress report has not been given regarding the Unkanku Road project in Ispingo, which would have seen the government finally closing the chapter that has been painful to many citizens who have for years been waiting patiently to move to their new homes. As such, one decided to visit the site to assess as to what has triggered or hindered the occupation in the blocks that we have been informed had been completed. It is heartbreaking to note that the April floods have severely affected the bulk infrastructure, and as such, request that the Premier gives us an update on the current state of the project and further instruct the municipality as well as the Department of Human Settlement to ensure that all beneficiaries are up to date with information, including the estimated handover dates. Furthermore, we request that the Premier request a progress report to be given regarding an area called Siahlalala in Newcastle. This request is necessitated by commitments that were made by the then Premier Uzikalala regarding the issue in that particular area. Honorable Premier, the Honorable Premier went to town regarding the plans that government has in place in curbing the scourge of crime in our province. It would be unjust of me to ignore the killings of the people in areas like Marian Hill, Claremont, Ikombali, Nagodambuza, where this has become the daily occurrence. Bayafa abantu bakithi Ndunankulu, and the ANC-led government must take charge. It is important to indicate that unlike those whom we have seen attempting to find content for this sitting, the ANC, through its deployees in various constituencies, have been very active in trying to find solutions ukulisana nobugebengu. We have seen stakeholders' engagements with the Minister of Police, with senior officials that was facilitated by our Pinetown constituency office, where Comrade Manali Soma, United Kumed, and Honorable Zondi are deployed. We have further seen engagements in Claremont facilitated by Umhlonishwa Uqaba, who is a deployee in that particular constituency. And further to that, we have seen an engagement in Harding, where an engagement that was facilitated by Honorable Boyce, who is deployed in that particular constituency in Harding. This is just an indication of an ANC that is not sitting and waiting, but is actually doing something. Sikusho ukuthi noma zikhona izingqinamba emaphoyiseni as confirmed by the report of the police station's functionality, kubalekile ukuthi nemkhandli yakithi lekelele ekuthena abantu bakithi bakhe lapho kunenqalasizinda elungele ukuthi kungahlala abantu. Kunezindawo ezakhiwe lapho imigwaqo ingekho khona, nokungathi noma kuthiwa amaveni amaphoyisa abengantuli kepha angakwazi ukufinyelela ngenxa yezakhiwo ezingenayo imigwaqo. Somlomo, we welcome the intervention by government on issues relating to gender-based violence and femicide. We have no doubt that this will go a long way in finding a lasting solution to this demon. We also send our deepest condolences to the Nyawose family lapho intombazanyana ebulawe ngesikhulu isihluku endaweni yaseMthwalume. Decisive action is needed in the area of Umthwalume Ndunankulu. Angilindeleke ukuthi umhlonishwa omele inkatha Freedom Party ame la akhulume ngento eyethintana ne-gender based violence ngoba phela uDeputy Mayor wabo ngale emhlabe yalingana usaqhubeka nokuqhobela isihlalo sokuba uDeputy Mayor after the whole country witnessed him physically assaulting a woman inside the chambers of the municipality, and he has gotten away with it with impunity. Angilindele ukuthi inkatha ime la ikhulume nge-gender based violence when they are now conveniently suspended mayor of Abaqulusi is captured clearly intimidating a female employee, even saying we kuphela nelungelo lokukhwela amankonyane kulesibaya sawo. Municipalities that are now said to be isibaya senkatha. Angilindele ukuthi inkatha ikhulume nge-corruption ekubeni corruption clearly iphehlwa khona. Why else would the same mayor of Abaqulusi be bold enough to even call a meeting if he didn't believe he had protection? Somlomo, siyabo.
Thank you, Honorable. The next member for For 12 minutes, on behalf of the IFP is Honorable VF Tabisa.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, honorable members, and ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the IFP, I wish to convey our deepest gratitude to His Majesty, King Misuzulu KwaZulu-Natal, for the guidance and the most appropriate address His Majesty delivered to this House at the official opening of the Legislature on Thursday. The IFP denounces the drama that befell this House on Friday last week in front of His Majesty. When this drama took place, it was the occasion of the maiden SOPA to the Premier, and it was the first attendance by His Majesty to the SOPA in his capacity as the King of the Zulu Nation. Honorable Speaker, the honorable member who has just been on the floor, let me bring to her attention, it takes two to tango. The issue of Ongoye was an issue of the past between the ANC and the IFP. We must not go back to open those wounds because it took two to tango, the ANC and the IFP. When it comes to the issue of Nongoma, the ANC must learn not want to impose itself in the municipalities it did not win. The court of law told you that your ill-advised interference in Nongoma was not necessary as the court threw it out of the window. The IFP is still gonna stay as a government of Nongoma. Yeah, that is why you will not listen, you will keep on. You will never get a respect because you do not listen. Just listen. Secondly, the imposed administrator at Matubatuba, Dr. Ntuli, you know him as ANC, is a corrupt administrator. You know him. He is implicated in a forensic investigation which is current as we speak now. You know him. The Honorable Premier, Nomsa Dube, never approved Siyabonga Ntuli as a municipal manager because of his criminal activities at Matubatuba. You know Siyabonga Ntuli at Endumeni was never approved, employed by ANC and NFP, employed under the watch of ANC. You never approved him because you know his record. You know Siyabonga Ntuli, wherever he goes, he ran away because of corruption. Now, because you want him to bring you behind the closed door, behind the doors at Matubatuba, you want to impose him at Matubatuba. MEC, can I assure you, we will not allow Siyabonga Ntuli to come back to Matubatuba in the face of criminal charges that the municipality has laid against him. We will not. No, this is a country that teaches people to obey law. We will not allow your criminal activities to be imposed in the municipality that is led by the IFP. Let me remind you, Siyabonga Ntuli, wrongly, he locked out IFP councillors during inauguration in 2011 at Matubatuba. The court proved him that he was wrong. Honorable Premier, you were present. How dare can you bring a bad man at Matubatuba who locked out the IFP councillors as I'm speaking? It is Siyabonga Ntuli who locked the door at Matubatuba. It is Siyabonga Ntuli. No matter how you can try to deny it.
Honorable members. Secretary, the clock at 25. I want to protect you, Honorable Sabisa, but when you enter into a dialogue with the members, angizokwazi. But I also want to appeal to the members on the first bench of the ruling party and the first bench. Honorable Msimang, Honorable Msimang, Honorable Msimang, Honorable Msimango, Honorable Msimango. I was going to speak to the senior members of the IFP, not to you. I was going to speak to the senior members of the IFP, not to you. The senior bench of the IFP, you can't be the ones that are allowing the interference with the leader of the official opposition. I've spoken to 2 senior benches. They can't be the ones that are leading what is happening. Continue, Honorable Sabisa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. EFF, your late partner, isazon khandela stress until your conscience wakes up. No, the IFP, the IFP is very smart. When they wanted to cause us a strike, we said you can go to hell. Let me put a correct record, Honorable Speaker, in this House. The Deputy Mayor at Mhlabialingana, as we speak today, is a female. What the Honorable Member said, that the Deputy Mayor who abused a woman is still in the position, is not true. Secondly, the IFP was quick and swift on the issue of Abaqulusi. Immediately, unlike an organization that shifts people from position who commit criminal and corrupt activities, the IFP swiftly suspended Mapisa with effect from yesterday. Honorable Speaker, when the government of a day enters into a social contract with the people, it is not just a blank slate at the mercy of the government. It is a contract with terms and conditions. The government commits to deliver services and protect the natural rights of the citizens. On the other hand, citizens commit to respect the laws of the land and ensure stability. When either of the two derail from the agreements of the contract, democracy is in danger. We are here called today to take stock of whether the government of KwaZulu-Natal has so far adhered to the aspect of the agreement with the people of this province. We have to acknowledge that indeed some social and natural occurrences in the country and in the world have had an impact in the performance of the governments, either negatively or positively. The outbreak of the COVID-19, the flood disaster in 2021 and 2022, and the looting spree in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng in 2021 all have impacted on the programs of the government to deliver services to the people. Be that as it may, we have to make it clear that some of these occurrences impacted on the government that was already moving on a downward trend in servicing the people of this province. Therefore, this cannot be an altogether scapegoat for mediocre performance and non-performance. Under the government of the day, a terrible decline of the economy has been affecting this country and the province of KwaZulu-Natal for too long now. This economic decline has affected our youth at most, as job opportunities run dry almost every day. This has caused this province to have the high levels of unemployed youth, graduates, and people in general. The last time when we met in the SOPA 2022, the unemployment rate of this province was standing at 28.7% compared to this year as it has risen to 30.6%. The expanded unemployment rate is now sitting at an alarming 46.4%. Just last week, South Africa got relegated to the economic grey listing, a list of countries that cannot be trusted to effectively curb money laundering and illicit financial flows. All these happen under the watch of the government of the day in South Africa and KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable Premier, with all due respect, the SOPA 2023 was by and large a cut and paste, uninspiring, out of focus, and hopeless. As the Premier, towards her conclusion, pleaded and said that akulahlwa mbeleko ngakufelwa, hayi sesilahlile imbeleko mhlonishwa ndunankulu. The truth, Honorable Premier, the people of KwaZulu-Natal have lost hope to the government that has failed them. The real state of the province of KwaZulu-Natal is a province where crime is reigning, gender-based violence is running out of hand. People of this province are not safe in their homes, in the streets, and in commuting. Amakhosi and Izinduna are targeted by the forces of darkness. Illegal guns exchange hands of criminals like hotcakes. Car hijacking is extremely high, and the people of Umkhanyakute, in Umhlabelingana and Jozini, are an open market to criminals who hijack their cars across the border to Mozambique and Eswatini. People who dare stand up against this crime become victims. May the soul of the crime activist Judah Mthethwa rest in peace. Why has it become so easy to rob South Africans of their vehicles and easily cross them to Mozambique? But have it very difficult to get the same illegally taken vehicles back to South Africa, even when people of Umkhanyakute have taken trouble to go across and identify them. This happens because the borders of our country are poorly controlled and have become wide open to drug dealers, car hijackers, illegal immigrants, and all other elements of crime who have made South Africa and KwaZulu-Natal a haven of criminal activities under the full watch of the ANC. Teachers and children are not safe at school. Businesses are attacked, and cash-in-transit vehicles get attacked and robbed on a broad daylight. All this under the full watch of a failed government by the ANC.
The next member, for 8 minutes, on behalf of the DA, is Honorable F.A. Rogers. Honorable Rogers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to quote from Isilo Misizulu KwaZulu-Natali's maiden speech. And I quote, "I call for conscious leadership and social accountability," close quote. I found this to be extremely perceptive and hard-hitting, once again highlighting the fundamentals that are lacking in the ANC-led government. Let me talk about conscious leadership. It's an approach to leadership which focuses on self-awareness, responsibility, team centricity, and a conscious leader is one who is always aware of the various people they lead, their role as leaders, how they impact other people, and the efforts to which all of their successes are collaborated into one. Social accountability talks about an obligation and a responsibility on the part of the government to be answerable to the citizens for its actions. Accountability of government officials is the cornerstone and a must for ensuring good governance. His Majesty hit the nail on the head. And it's something that as the opposition, we continue to drive. I continually refer to it as a capable and ethical state. Clearly, the King and I speak the same language. The ANC government is big on promises, but limited on implementation. Let me give you some examples. And this one is specific to a capable and ethical state. Allow me to quote from the 2021 State of the Province address. And I quote, "We made an undertaking to facilitate the process of undertaking lifestyle audits by members of the Executive Council and SCM officials in the first phase." Close quote. I'd hoped that the Premier would have told us, this is 3 years after we were told this would happen, that this process is now concluded, but nothing. In your address, Premier, you spoke about tackling fraud, maladministration, and fighting corruption. I'd also hoped that you would tell the province that the plethora of forensic investigations left by your predecessors would finally see the light of day, and that we could expect some consequence and accountability. That would have given me hope and the people of KZN hope. In our SOPA committee, we continually, and I've raised it in this House, identify and highlight non-compliant officials, whether it's irregular or fruitless and wasteful expenditure, yet there appears to be little or no appetite to act against these errant officials. In most cases, the process of accountability is so slow that the very same officials just resign and move on. If indeed you are serious about an ethical state, then this morose practice of consequence management and accountability needs to change. The people's patience is running out, Premier, and rightly so. When it comes to the lack of implementation, I offer you another example of why the State of the Province addresses have become so depressing to the average resident. In his 2022 State of the Province address, your predecessor, Premier, had the following to say about transit camps. He spoke about the Isipingo transit camp being relocated to Kanaku Road project with an approved budget of 70 million rand for 360 sites, and then at least 130 houses are ready at various stages of completion. He then went on to say that in 2022, eThekwini municipality would decommission all transit camps. Then just last week, you repeated almost verbatim what was said in 2022. 5 transit camps, this is what you said, 5 transit camps will be decommissioned by eThekwini this year with a budget of 70 million rand, and that 130 houses are at a various stage of completion. So the question is, what happened last year? The steps on eradicating transit camps cannot just be allowed to be copy and paste steps. Honestly, Premier, take the people of your province seriously, particularly those who live in substandard housing. And I stayed there, and I know what the conditions are like. The people's patience is running out, Premier, and rightly so. Honourable Premier, I must say that I feel sorry for you stepping into the position, because you've been handed a poison chalice. In only a few months, you've had to try and sort out the legacy of a mess that you've inherited. And I recalled somewhere in your address last week that some would see the state of the province as prophets of doom. I think you referred to that. Perhaps those prophets of doom are the ones who are in touch with reality. Prior to your address, I took the opportunity to allow residents of our province to highlight what they expected to hear at the State of the Province. And allow me to quote 3 of them. One was from Rikesh Iswalal, and he said, KwaZulu-Natal was once a favorite tourist and investment destination. In recent times, the province has fallen into a terrible state of disrepair. Failed infrastructure, E. coli beaches, and safety concerns are the biggest negatives keeping people away. This has severely impacted on employment and growth as well. What is the turnaround strategy? Then Mduduzi Hlengwa had the following to say: job creation and infrastructure rehabilitation, and keeping departments functioning. Then Mamguni Umkle had the following to say: why are you so silent about Santaco and what it's doing to the residents of KwaZulu-Natal? Blocking drivers, forcing kids out of cars, and forcing parents out of cars. Why are you so silent? I can go on, but I think you get the picture. Clearly, the ANC is hopelessly out of touch with the people of our province. It's either that, or the ANC has run out of ideas as to how to address the daily collapse of our province and the desperate needs of our people. Imagine for a moment you're one of the 46% of the people unemployed, sitting in your humble home with constant power outages, water outages, and unable to provide for your family. Keep that thought in your mind. Now take yourself back to last Friday's State of the Province address. What comfort or what hope did that address give to the 46% of the people who hear this same story year in, year out? The people's patience is running out, Premier, and rightly so.
The next member for 8 minutes is Honorable T.S. Mchali of the ANC.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Premier of our province, the executive members, the Chairperson of the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal, honorable members, please receive my greeting. To the President of the IFP, I think it could be that he is not well informed about this history, and I will also educate him, but urge him to go and verify these facts. In 1983, those students who died, Honorable Msimang, were students who were fighting for their rights, killed by Amabutho. Don't distort it. There was no fight between an ANC and IFP. There is history that you must learn, even so that when you come here, at least you understand that Ntomkhulu. Honorable Speaker, so it will assist you so that you familiarize yourself with those facts. Young people were killed by Amabutho, brutally killed. So there is no way where you should stand here and defend that. You should be ashamed, in fact, if you are a leader of integrity, to come here and stand the killing of young students. Don't ever do that, because your credibility goes away completely. Honorable Speaker, on the 24th of this month, the Premier of this province tabled a well-balanced address to this august house. She reflected the work that has been done, while she also reflected the challenges that are still existing that we need to deal with. This government continues to prioritize youth empowerment. If you look at the KZN Provincial Growth and Development Strategy, it clearly defines below some of the challenges that are facing the youth in our province. That's youth unemployment, which is worrying many young people of our province. It's access to capital, Honorable Mtombeni, the failure of invoices with regards to SMMEs that are not paid on time, which affects their business. It's drug and substance abuse, as well as the killing of young women that is affecting these young people. The KZN Provincial Growth and Development Strategy states that education is one of the key elements that contribute to the distribution of equal opportunity, especially in unequal societies like the ones in South Africa. Access to opportunities works as a leverage for leveling the playing field, as it provides tools for social mobility. Within this ANC-led government, part of it is to leveling the ground for the children of the working class who come from the previously disadvantaged families. Hence, we introduced the NSFAS, which has assisted many of our young people to have access to higher learning institutions. That has changed the lives of many of these young people. Hence, today, most of them having qualifications are employed because they were able to be given a chance to fight for a better tomorrow through getting access by providing the NSFAS that today many of our people are benefiting from. Honorable Speaker, yes, some like Honorable Tibur will not understand this because they've never had the challenge of not having money to pay for access to education. So that is why they will ridicule this, because to them they were born in privileged families when our parents and our black people were suffering. I have a picture here, Honorable Speaker, which I will give to Honorable Tibur. These pictures is the first year students who are lining to receive their laptops, which are funded by the NSFAS. These laptops, it's fine. No. The idea is the ANC. You couldn't think of that. So it's fine. It's the ANC that came with the idea. No. Let's focus on this. So these laptops, Honorable Speaker, they've been receiving this laptop for the past 5 years as the first year student funded by the NSFAS. However, Honorable Speaker, young people in higher learning institutions, even in our province, have been calling for the frustration in terms of the accommodation, which every year they get to be subjected to. And they've made a very firm call, which we are supporting that call, that seeks to say, those government departments that are not utilized, some vandalized, can be renovated, be created to a student village that ensure accommodation for these young learners. It must be conducive, have libraries, have internet labs, so that it also has securities, have Wi-Fi, so that it creates a conducive environment for learning in order for them to excel academically. For if we provide conducive environment, these young people will firmly ensure that they excel academically. A few years ago, this government of the African National Congress established what we call the KZN Youth Fund. It did this with the understanding that not every young person is yearning to be employed. Some want to create a better future for themselves by venturing into business where they can employ more young people. This KZN Youth Fund, it seeks to provide funding for companies of young people to ensure that it boosts the economy, but also it makes them to sustain themselves. It is on this basis, Chair, that I want to tell you a story of Nathi Mpele from Renkonyeni local municipality under Oku district. Nathi Mpele is the owner of the EdNotes IT company, who was funded by 864,000 rand, which he got from the KZN Youth Fund. After receiving it, amongst the things, for you to operate in that field of network and that is required, it's a license that you need from ICASA, which he was able to obtain, and other materials, the logistic he needed to perform his company. As we speak today, he was able to fundraise for a school that got computers and utilize his network so that they get access to internet and the Wi-Fi. Beyond that, he contracted with Umzumbe municipality to handle the network of the municipality in the past 2 years, and he has been doing work. He has installed new system that even when there's load shedding, their system continues to operate. This is a young man who benefited from the KZN Youth Fund. Beyond that, he's also having a contract which is paying him 65,000 honorable premium, 68,000 honorable premium per month. This is a contract he has with a port regulator, and it's a 1-year contract as this thing stands, and he's obtaining 68,000. Not many companies will get contract honorable premium with the port regulators as things stand. I thank you.
Honorable members, the next member to debate for 12 minutes on behalf of the EFF is Honorable HP Piliza. Honorable members, Honorable Sonchita, you are all reminded that this is Honorable Piliza's maiden speech, so you will not be heckling or disturbing her, provided that she also steers away from provoking and controversy. Ngubonduna, take your maiden debate, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Let me start by greeting the EFF KZN provincial leadership, which is present here today, which is led by the provincial deputy chairperson, fighter Thobisi Lenkos. Speaker, the economic freedom fighters in the province of KwaZulu-Natal wants to caution you not to fall in the same sword that collapsed many others in your position. You are not a speaker to abuse power in an apartheid-like and IFP-inspired manner of bringing armed men into the chamber to defend accountability. You suspended 2 members of the EFF. Number 1, on a Saturday. Number 2, you suspended them as a group. And number 3, you suspended them without any process. Do not give yourself powers you do not have. This is not your house where you can do willy-nilly as and when you like. Accountability is going to be defined by us in our own terms. We do not want to be made to feel that this house has no room for accountability of a certain kind. That is not democracy, and we will not seek authority from anyone to do what the people of KZN have voted us in here to come and to do. Post-colonial scholar Frantz Fanon argues that cognitive dissonance occurs when people hold a core belief that is very strong. When people hold a core belief that is very strong, and when they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. So they will rationalize, ignore, or even deny anything that doesn't fit in with that core belief. This is the sad reality of the ANC-led government, whom, despite being presented with tangible solutions from different relevant stakeholders that will steer the ship into the right direction, they continue to be in a movie, of course, with different directors, but the storyline remains the same. This year's theme is taking decisive action in the time of renewal and hope as we rebuild a better, prosperous, and resilient KwaZulu-Natal. Having listened and analyzed this year's SOPA, we must say it does not inspire confidence to the dejected masses, as we are still subjected to the same rhetoric that we were subjected to almost 4 years ago when the 6th administration came into the office. Our people are agitated and are no longer interested in the frivolous promises made by the ANC-led government, which has no action plan. The people of KwaZulu-Natal, they want action now. The real state of the province is that we have a government that prioritizes stealing over giving Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Our schools are facing dire and persistent infrastructural challenges that cripples teaching and learning. But the Department of Basic Education blames the unavailability of financial resources as a hindrance to apply corrective measures. 29 years into the new democratic dispensation, some schools still do not have basic services such as water, electricity, and proper ablution services. About 80% of schools in the province are using the pit latrines. On top of the infrastructural challenges, we have schools like Ivungu High School in KwaXeza who have been using a makeshift bridge for more than 40 years now. Our provincial government is so big on eradicating youth and unemployment, and yet according to the data released by Statistics SA in March last year, KwaZulu-Natal is amongst the 4 provinces that are recorded to be expanding unemployment rates higher than 50%. The Youth Fund is the latest heist by the ruling party to solicit cash from the unsuspecting taxpayers. Having increased the allocation to 100 million to fund business initiatives of the children of who's who, while we have many unemployed graduates whose certificates have been gathering dust for many years. While the country is hit hard by load shedding, here in KwaZulu-Natal, we also have to deal with water shortage, which is impacting negatively on the economic growth. Areas such as eThekwini, Ugu, Umhlathuze have been hit hard by the water crisis, including some businesses, particularly in the tourism sector, having to close shop because of this. Not only has this crippled households and business entities, but has also put more strain on the already overburdened KZN health system. With hospitals such as Umlazi's Prince Msheni Hospital being reported to be using the bucket system because of the municipality's failure to restore water supply. The government prides itself with restoring the dignity of the people through sustainable housing. But to date, many flood victims bazithola betanta nendishi, bakhishwa ngapha bafakwa ngapha without a permanent plan. We want to know ukuthi what happened to the 1 billion that was pledged by the government to offer relief to flood victims. In 2013, the then Premier, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, launched a provincial anti-substance abuse forum to fight the scourge against the drug abuse. In 2021, again, former Premier, Mr. Sihle Zikalala, relaunched the forum. But to date, there has been no tangible plan of action. Kuyimanje intsha yethu igcwele izinkambi icwilile ezinkambini zikaFaro nasezidakamizweni, ikakhulukazi endaweni yasemajuba lapho intsha yethu ibulawa yizidakamizwa mihla namalanga. 4 years after the release of the Morolani Commission into political killings, KZN continues to be a slaughterhouse for politicians and traditional leaders. Fear grips community members as crime is on the rise. From murder cases, GBV cases, rape cases, hijack, burglary, and robbery cases. Isizwe sikaphunga noMageba sihlezi lubhojozi ngoba lesi sifundazwe sesaphenduka ikwampuzi edla emini. The state of the nation, the state of the province is that KwaZulu-Natal has become a war zone with mass shooting.
Hold on. Honorable members, please. Allow Honorable Chiliza to have her maiden debate.
The real state of the province.
Honorable Ucaluza, allow Honorable Chiliza to have her maiden debate. Continue, Honorable Chiliza.
The real state of the province is that KwaZulu-Natal has become a war zone with mass shootings on the rise and with police stations such as Inanda, Umlazi, and KwaMashu having recorded high numbers of murder and rape cases. Murder is up to 8.3%. Rape is up by 13.3%. And hijackings are up by 18.5%. KZN remains the most violent province in the country. The real state of the province and the real state of the nation is that South Africa is not a safe haven for women and children. 12 women are murdered every day and 4 children are murdered every day. KZN is high ranking on GBV and femicide. In January alone, 4 women had already been murdered by their partners, including a 5-month pregnant Sizakele Mthembu from Eshowe, who was stabbed to death by her partner. According to a study conducted by the Commission for Gender Equality, it is very concerning to note that there is also an alarming withdrawal of cases by victims. How do we build a peaceful province when criminals are arrested today and tomorrow they are found to be roaming the streets? How do we build a peaceful province when there are serious unresolved cases dating back to more than 10 years ago? KwaZulu-Natal administration has a long history of corruption. The rot of corruption continues to hamper service delivery in the province. We have the embattled Umhlasuze Water Board, which was supposed to assist with the provision of water in some parts of the province. We have high-ranking officials who continue to embezzle funds and defraud the tender system. But because there's no consequence management, they continue to be reshuffled from one department to another. How do we build an incorruptible government when cadre deployment continues to be the order of the day? How do we fight corruption when the same officials deployed in various sectors of government are criminals themselves? Therefore, the EFF wants to build a progressive, capable government that will build internal capacity that will allow it to run its own affairs, and in the process create millions of sustainable jobs through the creation of provincial construction company. A creation of a provincial pharmaceutical company that would allow a manufacturing and decommodification of medicine and invest in primary health care. A capable provincial government which will insource security guards and cleaners in all government departments and ensure that companies doing business in our province are compelled to insource these services. We do not have confidence in this government, and that is why on the 20th of March, the EFF will march to remove this corrupt government and demand electricity back, and also that Ramaphosa must resign. We call upon the people of our province from Umhlabuyalingana to Kokstad, from the sugar canes to the university doors, to join the revolution and usher in a new era of characterized by economic freedom.
The next speaker is Honorable CM Shinga of the NFP for 4 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and Honorable Members of the House, distinguished guests, viewers, and the media house. Honorable Premier, the NFP in KwaZulu-Natal acknowledges that you have now realized that you should have relied on other people or institutions to implement your plans and strategies, especially in order to combat crime and corruption and enhance or advance service delivery, but not only on your MECs. KwaZulu-Natal has been delivered into the grips of load shedding and floods due to climate change. Corrupt moles in government have chowed all the money that was meant to benefit flood victims in KZN. We were expecting to hear of any investigation or outcome. Honorable Premier, in your tail novel, you did not fully address the state of the KZN economy, as the effects of devastating floods in our province and load shedding are the main causes for low economic growth. KZN manufacturing is the largest industry and rated 5th of national manufacturing production, which contributes a lot to the country's GDP. The damage to factories and plants, as well as problems with logistics and supply chains, caused a 0.7% decrease in nation's industrial output in the second quarter. The largest obstacles on growth are petroleum and chemical products, food and beverages, transport and equipment. Trade and catering and accommodation recorded a contraction of 1.5% as floods damaged retail outlets and storage facilities. Honorable Speaker, KZN unemployment rate was at 30.6%, which was below the national average of 32.9% in the third quarter of 2022. However, the province's unemployment increased by more than 10% to 46.4% in the third quarter, resulting in discouragement of a large number of persons in seeking employment. More intervention in employment generation efforts is required in this province. EPWP and the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative will not suffice to end the province's unemployment. Honorable Premier, your turnaround strategy here is clear and not well researched. People need jobs as opposed to fancy speeches. The NFP calls for extensive research on alternative energy sources, as there can be a number of disadvantages, especially for a recovering economy. Ocean energy can be highly expensive, high maintenance cost, low performance in unfavorable weather, and could have effects on the environment. The wave energy is costly to develop, and biogas requires technological advancements because the technologies used to produce it are inefficient and wild scale. Honorable Speaker, the province needs to see more schools in foundation phase to adopt the coding and robotics curriculum to gain more advantage in the fourth industrial revolution world. The NFP is pleased on the work of the province to convert a school into 4-year skills development center where 800 young people have been trained on robotics, Internet of Things and drones, and implementation of setting up digital skills lab in each district to enable access implementation of setting up digital skills. There is an outcry for water provision in this province's rural areas. It is terrible to notice that there are communities without access to water. These communities rely on water trucks which may or may not be able to serve every household in the community. In the 28 years of democracy, you have failed to provide those communities with basic water.
You know, Honorable Shinga, I always allow you when the bell has finished, but when you start further sentences, I allow you so that you finish the sentence you are on. But if we continue, we'll then just switch you as soon as the watch rings in the future. Thank you so much, Honorable Member. The next member on behalf of the ANC for 10 minutes is the Honorable MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Honorable B.N. Sithole Moloi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to you, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of this Legislature, all stakeholders and all participants that are in the gallery. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, siyabonga kakhulu Somlomo, ngiyazi ukuthi kunezinto la ezikhulunyiwe ebezikhulunywa ziqondiswa kimi njengomphathiswa onikezwe umnyango wa Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Kuyishwa ke ukuthi okunye okukhulunywa la besingafisa umuntu ukuthi akuphendule. Njenga ukuthi kuthiwe umnomzane udaba la kwaNongoma ukuthi i-department ihluliwe, cha ayihlulanga department, kuthiwa bahambe bayolanda amaphepha asho ukuthi bathi akwenzekanga kahle ngobani. Asikakutholi ke lokho ngoba thina salindele ukuze siphendule ukuthi kuthiwa senzile kahle ngobani. KwaNongoma senze thina isilandela ukuthi uma usomlomo engayenzanga umsebenzi wakhe ukuthi abize umhlangano uma kunemotion umthetho ogovernishayo abasebenza ngayo okuthiwa ama-standing rules abo. Uma kungenjalo baphinde babhalele umunicipal manager angakwenzi futhi naye lokho babe sebesukumile udaba baluyiseke kwi-province i-province ibe singenelela asivele sisuke nje sivuke ekhaya siyongenelela komasipala kodwa umasipala bengamisi imisebenzi yabo ngokulandela imigomo nemithetho abayimisele bona sizotholakala sesikhona ngaphakathi ngoba sifuna uhulumeni ophilayo uhulumeni osebenza ngendlela efanelekile. Good governance is our priority in this province and we are going to insist on that. No one will go scot-free when he's not doing what is expected. We join the people of KwaZulu-Natal, indeed, our country, to welcome the State of the Province address delivered by our Honorable Premier, Honorable Dube Ncube. It was actually a good state of address. It actually strengthened our resolve and also addresses issues that are facing our province, not only our province, but also our country, as we normally lead as province of KwaZulu-Natal in some of service delivery projects and programs. The State of the Province address did not simply strengthen our resolve, rekindle our hope and remind us of the resilience and fortitude of the people of KwaZulu-Natal. It also provides a clear plan of decisive action to overcome the plethora of contemporary challenges and show that we continue to fulfill the vision of a better life. Siyafuna ukusho ukuthi ke siyazi ukuthi njengoba kuyokhethweni kuningi okusazoshiwo okungamampunge nokunye esifisa engathi bengabe kumi kanjalo kungamile kanjalo ngalabo abangaphesheya kwethu ababizwa ngokuthi ke bangaba i-opposition yethu kusho ukuthi ngabaphikisi vele bethu kodwa ke kuhle ukuphikisa bese unikeza isixazululo ukuthi ke uma kunenkinga ke wena ububona ukuthi bingasolundululwa kanjani ukuze sikwethembeleke ukuthi ke singakunikeza mhlamba amandla ukuthi kuyizame le recipe yakho ukuthi iyasebenza yini udaba ke lo masipala nodaba le manager ngiyakholwa ukuthi abahlonishwa bazolixoxa kahle ngoba ezinye zalezi zimanager abakhuluma ngazo zivela esandleni sabo bezisebenza nabo ngiyakhumbula nje ukuthi ngesinye isikhathi kwakufanele siyomisa umkhandlu uqala ukuba khona uqala isikhathi emva kokhetho lapha enkandla sathola ukuthi umunicipal manager wakhona akaqualify ukuthi engaba umunicipal manager kodwa ngenxa yokuthi sasifuna ubulungisa sacela ukuthi cha ngenelela emphathiswa kusengumama uDube Ncube ukuthi ngenelela ukuze senze umsebenzi kagovernment ngenhlonipho sitholela umuntu ozosibambela lo msebenzi kwenziwa njalo. So ngiyafisa ukuthi ke singenze ngazi ukuthi siphila kwelinyize. Ngiyazi ukuthi kunamapage sonke emlandweni esingafisa ukubuyela kuona. Kodwa futhi masibuyela kuona sisebenze ngendlela ukuthi sibambisane kulokho ukuze sikwazi ukuthi siqhubeke siye phambili. Ngiyazi ukuthi kuningi esizokufaka ngoba sifuna ukuthi abantu bakwaZulu-Natal bangaboni kahle bangawuthembi uhulumeni wabo. Kodwa ngiyafuna ukuthi ngisho ukuthi abantu abakhulumayo baphuma kwahulumeni abake baphatha lapha sikaze sizwe bekhuluma ngokuthi bakhe indlela ezingaki ezihamba abantu bakithi bafaka amanzi angakanani aphuzwa ngabantu ukuthi ahlanzekile bakha izikole ezingakanani ezenza ukuthi abantu bakithi babe khona. Ngiyafisa ukuthi ke konke lokho ugesi bawufaka yini emakhaya noma babesho bona ukuthi ngeke bawufaka ugesi ngoba uzoxhopha izinkomo. When we say the ANC is a leader of society, we say so knowing that it is the masses of our land who continue to give their trusted organization, the ANC, the mandate to lead and to change their lives. As we meet today, we recall that 100 years ago in 1923, it was an ANC that became the first organization to pronounce on the Bill of Rights at its national conference in Bloemfontein. This was the same year that the colonial rulers had passed the Native Urban Areas Act, which became the cornerstone and the foundation of racial segregation as it defines Africans in towns only as temporary sojourners, only used insofar as they sold their underpaid labor and administered to the needs of white. Sifuna ukusho ukuthi ke ngenxa yalokho ke umbutho wesizwe yiwo-ke owaziyo amalungelo abantu. Yingakho namhlanje kunabantu abakwazi ukuthiwa ngisho umongameli, ngoba lo mbutho ulinikile ithuba elinjalo. Nomthethosisekelo wethu okukhulunywa ngokuthi uwona obatshazwayo nokuthiwa impela muhle okwedlula yonke imithethosisekelo yamazwe omhlaba wonke, hhayi ase-Afrika nje kuphela. Inalo uhlelo olukhuluma ngamalungelo ethu. The Bill of Rights ikhona, iyi-chapter kwi-constitution yethu echaza kahle-ke, nayo-ke ivela ekutheni ngo-1955 kwaba khona umqulu wenkululeko okuyi-Freedom Charter, which outlines ukuthi abantu bayosebenza kanjani, and sisebenza ngalokho ukuqinisekisa ukuthi ngempela uma siwenza amalungelo abantu siwavikela njengombutho wesizwe, abantu base-South Africa bayoba abantu abayimbumba, abangakhethi ngokobuhlanga, abangakhethi ngobulili, bese beqhubekisela izwe lakithi phambili. Honorable Speaker, the ANC as the leader of society does not take for granted its responsibility and trust given to it by the majority of the people of South Africa and our province. In this regard, please allow me to pay tribute to all the people of KwaZulu-Natal and our stakeholders who pull together when we face a crisis. As Premier indicated, our faith and resilience has particularly been tested since 2020 through the global coronavirus and July 2021 civil unrest and devastating floods in April and May 2021. We once again want to convey our deepest sympathies to the families who lost their loved one because of COVID-19 and violence, unrest, and catastrophic floods that also take place in our province. We welcome the progress that the ANC has led government has been doing, working with the stakeholders in achieving to ensure that those people are being assisted with all the amenities that they will need. I wish to salute the Isilo Samabandla, King Mrs. Zulu KwaZulu-Natal, for leading from the front in helping our province, healing the wounds inflicted by these disasters, and his effort to mobilize the business community to help us build better KwaZulu-Natal in the time of our devastation. As the leader of society, the ANC will seek to utilize the pain of our people for political, will never seek to utilize the pain of our people to politically advantage against enemies of the NDR, whose mission is to give hope to the most vulnerable amongst us by undoing the legacy of the apartheid colonialism. Madam Speaker, the State of the Nation address, the budget vote speech, and the KwaZulu-Natal State of the Province address delivered by our Honorable Premier last week demonstrate that the ANC government is a listening government and has a plan to end load shedding. It was after listening to the people of South Africa, including the opposition, that the president also declared national state of disaster on electricity to end load shedding. Load shedding has affected every aspect of our lives, and it's not addressed. If it's not addressed urgently, it has the potential to undermine agriculture, food security, job creation, and result in food inflation. KwaZulu-Natal Growth Development Plan identifies agriculture as a key driver in ensuring food security and inclusive economic development. Through the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development Program Inkunzi Sematholen, our province decided to dedicate support to young Black farmers, including our graduates in agriculture, so that we maximize the agricultural potential.
Thank you. The next member for 4 minutes is Honorable Esther Rajbanzi of the MF. Honorable Esther Rajbanzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Premier, the Minority Front thanks you for the itemized SOPA presentation. The MF thanks His Majesty for setting the tone in KZN's development trajectory, taking into consideration the mood of the people. In His Majesty, we have a thought leader who we hope continues spearheading the growth mindset through people unity. The social focus is critical for economic prosperity and political maturity, as we have disruptive forces. Honourable members, the SOPA theme itself leaves us duty-bound to ask action questions to the executive this year. For action, Honourable Speaker, we require skilled cadres, and the skills audit outcomes requires an executive statement, Honourable Premier. The interventions in SOPA are laudable. However, ideation requires workable plans and information to reach people. Therefore, the communications divisions of the government must be activated. It may be more meaningful to itemize initiatives under the triple challenges of unemployment, inequality, and poverty to measure progress. The burning issues arising from these challenges are rampant crime, societal violence, lawlessness, protests, and a lack of service delivery. Our focus should be on wealth taxes, corporate social responsibility, NGO regularization, risk and project management, M&E, and policy reviews. Please complete all unfinished projects before we embark on new ones, Honourable Premier. The scrapping of affirmative action and triple BEE is reasonable 30 years into democracy, as key skills are leaving KZN. Investment in the manufacturing sector means that KZN's executive must be transparent and disengage from any MOU with other countries where local production and unemployment is hindered. Key to creating wealth is land ownership. Disenfranchised communities need a plot of land to thrive. The ad hoc committee's report is crucial for this House to debate. Climate change means harnessing opportunities from what nature has given us. 915 dams, 2 waterfalls, many drifts and weirs. So much can be done to get potable water to our people, to farms, and to animals. This weekend, I visited homes from Ugu to Tongat, and all I saw was water in buckets, baths, and bottles. Therefore, the MF calls for canalization and river transport systems. Infrastructure partnership or collaboration is key. These are the indabas we must now have. Business rescue is important, but what about public-private partnerships instead? Cultural tourism, as His Majesty emphasized, must be pursued. The culture of reading and provision of libraries means quality education outcomes. Finally, Honourable Premier, the transport sector is on its knees in KZN. How are we going to curb road carnages, which are a daily occurrence? The loss of precious lives will only destroy our efforts to revive KZN's economy. We can build lots of infrastructure, but if there's no thought about safety regulations, then these are meaningful. Thank you.
The next member for 4 minutes is Honorable M.E. Pakati of the ATM.
Abafuna ukuthi ngikhulume. Somlomo, Dunankulu, members of the executive, honorable members, members of the public, we greet you in the name of Jesus Christ this morning. Somlomo, asikhulume ngento esiphethe kabi kakhulu kulesi sifundazwe sakithi KwaZulu-Natal. Ubugebengu ndunankulu bande kakhulu. Ukubulawa kwabantu ndunankulu kwande kakhulu. Siyezwa niyakhuluma ngezinto eziningi ndunankulu ukukhulisa umnotho. So ukhulisa kanjani umnotho uma ngabe ubugebengu ngapha? Ngaba bayahlala izimali bazoza yini kulesi sifundazwe uma ngabe ubugebengu bukhule ngalendlela? Ilezo zinto esifuna ukuzizwa. The ATM fully supports the call by His Majesty the King that all stakeholders should meet urgently and discuss and resolve on this matter yobugebengu. Abantu bakithi ke babulawa zonke izinsuku. Babulawa engathi nje kubulawa izinkukhu ngendlela ongayazi. Ekubizeni ke lama stakeholders somlomo. Akubizwe abaphathiswa belizwi, abefundisi, all religious leaders abathathe ulayini ophambili kulento yokuthi kuqedwe ubugebengu ezweni lakithi. Bathathwe serious abefundisi ngoba badlale ingxenye enkulu ngesikhathi sinama floods la, badlala ingxenye enkulu ngalesikhathi sine social unrest la ekwi-province. Asenze sure ukuthi lokho kwenzeka nabo bephambili. Kuyasethusa ukunyuka kwezinga speaker kokungasebenzi kwabantu abangasebenzi. Kakhulukazi ukuthi ulusha seluhleli ku-28.7%. Funa kube khona into eyenziwayo ngalokho. Somlomo asivume ukuthi i-ATM siyakwamukela ukuthi kunohlelo olukhulunywa ngokuthi i-bulk water projects esuzile enkulumeni kaNdunankulu. Ndunankulu ake sinikhumbuze ukuthi sasithe unyaka odlulile ukuthi yes, we need bulk water, but the problem in our province is not actually bulk water. It is distribution of water. Infrastructure has aged. We need to change the infrastructure. We must make sure that we also deal with the issue of privately owned dams. If we don't, we can't deal with that issue, we're still going to have the same problem. Sengcina-ke Somlomo, lapha eward 102 eThekwini endaweni ekuthiwa iseChappers. Lalo wadi liholwa iDA. Abantu bakithi babulawa zonke insuku. Abantu ama-toilet kuleya ndawo bahamba bayongena emobweni banyukweza wesifazane bedlwengula. Ikhansela le-DA alikaze libeke kuleya ndawo seChappers. Libheke lezi indawo zangapho kubheka phambili. Ngifuna abantu bakithi bazi ukuthi iDA ayisoze yamcabangela umuntu omnyama nangelilodwa ilanga. Ngiyabonga Speaker.
The next member. Order. The next member for 9 minutes is the Honorable MC Fraser, the MEC for Education.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Somlomo, ngikubingelela nesekela lakho. Ngibingelela uNdunankulu wethu uMama Dube Ncube, Executive Chief Whip, ngiyabingelela amalunga ahloniphekile alesishamthetho, izihambeli, ngiyanibingelela nonke. Honorable Speaker, allow me to start off by borrowing from one of the African revolutionaries, Amilcar Cabral, when he says, I quote, "Always remember that the people are not fighting for ideas, nor for what is in men's minds. The people fight and accept the sacrifices demanded by the struggle in order to gain material advantages, to live better and in peace, to benefit from progress, and for the better future of their children," unquote. This is one of the reasons the ANC-led government is committed in ensuring that the people of this province get the necessary basic services that they need. During the State of the Province address, Honorable Premier Dube Ncube gave a detailed account of this government's great strides towards improving the lives of the people of KwaZulu-Natal. She also outlined the trajectory our great province will be embarking on in its continuous struggle for socio-economic development and stability for this province. The provision of accessible, quality and inclusive education remains one of our apex priorities as the ANC-led government, because we observed how the apartheid regime used its unequal education system to perpetuate poverty and inequality. One of the victims of the system was the distinguished freedom fighter of the ANC and son of Umgungundlovu, Baba Moses Mabhida. Honorable members, like many Black Africans who lived under the oppressive apartheid regime, Ubaba Mabhida could not even complete his basic education due to financial constraints. Mabhida used his humble beginnings and unfortunate circumstances as a motivation to fight for this country's freedom and people's right to the equal education that he was also deprived of. He went on to become one of the gallant ANC leaders who were instrumental in the preparation of the Congress of the People in Kliptown, where the Freedom Charter was adopted in June 1955. Honorable members, siyathemba ukuthi ubaba uMabhida la ekhona uyaziqhenya kakhulu ngohulumeni oholwa nguKhongolose ukushintsha izimpilo zabantu bakulesi sifundazwe. Chairperson, the doors of education has indeed been opened to all. Amongst many schools, social security initiatives rolled out 6,200 schools in our province. This ANC-led government provides 2.3 million learners from 5,455 schools with a nutritious meal every day through the NSNP program. Uhulumeni kaKhongolose uphinda uqinisekisa ukuthi abafundi abahlala kude nezikole bayafinyelela esikoleni ebalungisela amabhasi namatekisi aphephile mahala ha. As part of ensuring that our schools are well resourced, the department ring-fenced 922 million for core learning and teaching support material for public schools for 2023 academic year. Sizoyithula eminye ingcukaca kulolu daba ensukwini ezizayo ezosondela. The ANC has noted and responded to the challenges of the high unemployment rate of young people due to the state of our economy. As part of the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, about 40,000 young people will be assuming their duties next month. These young people will be placed in schools across the province of KwaZulu-Natal. U-ANC uzongayenzi lento enziwa yimeya yaseZululand la ifuna ukuthatha khona imisebenzi kahulumeni ayenze eyenkatha. Ngiyafisa ukuthi ngiyazise lendlu ukuthi ngeke kuze kwenzeke lokho uma u-ANC esasithumele ukuthi sibe yithina esibhekile. Honorable members, following our consistent interactions with communities across the province, this ANC-led government has heeded the call from persons living with disabilities to have equitable and inclusive programs so that they also fully enjoy the benefits of our democracy. In response to this call, the building and upgrading of special schools is continuing in different parts of the province. Siyaqhuba nohlelo lokubiya izikole ngendlela ephephile. Udlame nobugebengu obukhungathe izikole zethu kungenye izinselelo esibhekene nazo njengohulumeni. Kodwa njengoba eshilo upremier wethu sinezinhlelo ezikhona ezizosisiza ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi silekelele. Honorable members, this government respects and protects our learners' rights to dignity and as enshrined in the Constitution. In this regard, significant progress has been made in eradicating the pit latrines, with a total of 1,120 schools eradicated and replaced with safe and conducive ablution facilities. Umsebenzi uyaqhubeka. Chairperson, there are several comprehensive social welfare and development programs that are currently being rolled out across KwaZulu-Natal. This is yet another proof that this government is committed to making a significant difference in the quality of life of the people of this province. Enye yeyinhlelo engifisa ukuthi ngingakhulumile ngayo enye eyenziwa u-social development ayenza ezikoleni. Siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi uyancedisa kubantwana abadla izidakamizwa. Honorable members, the Department of Social Development has established the provincial database of persons with disabilities, which will serve as the hub for provincial government departments and entities to utilize for employment purposes, so that leya 2% sikwazi ukuthi siwugcine ngendlela efanele. Siyafisa futhi ukusho ukuthi u-DSD unayo social relief of distress. This program isize abantu abaningi abakhona abahlale bathi uxakaxakeka. Siyabonga kakhulu kuMamkhosi. Bahlonishwa, gender-based violence and femicide has been declared a national pandemic. As such, it is the Department of Social Development priority focus area. Efforts been amplified significantly to address underlying risk factors for violence, including social norms regarding gender. Ngiyafisa ukuthi ngizohlala phansi ngichaze ukuthi cha lama khansela ahlukumeza abantu besifazane masikhuluma nge-GBV akusilona iqiniso ukuthi awasasebenzi. Akhona izolo elanga libalele municipality ikhansela lakhona lithuke abesifazane obekufaka khona even u-administrator. Ngiyafisa ukusho ukuthi umeya wakhona ngikhuluma nje waphuca umuntu wesifazane a single parent amanzi ilungelo lakhe lokuthi abe namanzi. Amakhansela asemsinga enkatha onkunzimalanga namhlanje basekhona bayahola bangamakhansela akusilo iqiniso ukuthi abekho emsebenzini. U-Ward 19 usuneyinsuku ungawatholi amanzi ukuhlukumezeka esikutholayo la kukhona khona i-IFP. Honorable members, women are breadwinners. They are both mothers and fathers in most instances, as they carry a responsibility of ensuring that they put food on the table for their families. The vulnerability of women must never be abused under any circumstances. The dignity of all women must be respected and protected at all times. One of the renowned African gender activists, Umama Gracia Machel, uyasikhumbuza ukuthi kumele senze njani. Chairperson, the people of KwaZulu-Natal can rest assured that the government of the ANC will deliver. Thank you very much.
The next speaker for 4 minutes on behalf of the ACDP is Honorable Bishop S.E. Manele.
Speaker, and all protocol greeting you in the name of Jesus Christ. Speaker, may I start by asking this House to note that what is happening at Mtuba is not something new. It has taken, if I'm not mistaken, about 3 terms now. And I want this House to note that that thing is not affecting either IFP or ANC. It's affecting directly the people of Mtuba. It's affecting the people who are dwelling there without service delivery. And I'm appealing in this House, when we deal with that matter, let us be careful. And I'm asking COGTA to work as a parent, to work as the department, to come and help us at Mtuba. We have got a serious problem, and we need service delivery. And Premier, please help us at Mtuba. People need service delivery. Thank you. Madam Speaker, as a point of departure, the Premier's vision and plan is welcomed by ACDP. We acknowledge the progress that has been made in many areas of our areas up to this far. We were also glad, Speaker, to hear the King in Lulamiti voicing his concern about challenges facing his province and sharing the views of what should be done to improve the lives of his people in KwaZulu-Natal. Ndabezit. Nevertheless, in the line of rebuilding a better, prosperous and resilient KwaZulu-Natal, implementation should be our top priority. Great ideas and plans that run short of implementation will not rebuild a better, prosperous and resilient province that we aspire. Implementation should be on our focal point for attaining a Premier's vision and plans for 2023. Notable, Speaker, crime continues to ravage our province, which adversely impact the economy and the ideas of building the peaceful province. We need to consider adding more aggressive method of combating crime, such as high-level development of high-tech drones and CCTVs. This technology can also be utilized in our fight against corruption, which is one of our major stumbling blocks to our fight against crime. ESCOM require major changes which are currently being undertaken by and dealt by the national government. Nevertheless, our province can be part of solutions through exploring the options of developing mini grids that are powered by renewable resources or exploring household and industrial renewal focuses project. There have been a major improvement in battery technology that enables renewable sources to supply base load powers. As a result, we can harness the technological advancement together with our partnership to deal with the current electricity crisis. With regard to unemployment, indeed, Speaker, localization of economic values claim. Thank you, Speaker.
The next member, thank you, Honorable Member. The next member is the MEC for Health, the Honorable Nsimelane, for 9 minutes.
Siyabingelela Mahubele. Sibingelele ku-Deputy Speaker, Premier, Chairperson of the African National Congress, Babu Mtombeni, members of the executive and all honorable members. Somlomo, before ngingena engifisa ukukhuluma ngakho, ngiyafisa ukuvumelana nomhlonishwa uphakathi on the role ye-religious leadership and the society at large on the issue of crime. Mhlonishwa uphakathi correct, uma ngabe singabambisani nabaholi bomphakathi, uhulumeni ngeke nanini akwazi uku-achieve anything. Kodwa kakhulukazi le crime ngoba include umphakathi, include abantu abalidwa abaholi bezikalizwi. So uma singabambisana ngicabanga ukuthi siyogcina siyitholile isolution. So I do support that kakhulu, and I think ama examples awenzile of how we have managed in the past to work together with the religious leaders are very correct and should be a guiding principle moving forward. Speaker, it is with utmost pride and humility that I stand here today before you in this august house to participate in this 23-24 State of the Province address. We would like to start by expressing our heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Premier, Utatewethu Nomusa Dube-Ncube, for a visionary, bold and decisive leadership in mapping out the path that our province needs to take going into the future. Uyasho-ke ukuthi ukhongolose uyafundisa, ukhongolose uyakhulisa, futhi ukhongolose uyakwazi ukunikeza bonke abaholi amathuba alinganayo. Ebese abaholi-ke bawasebenzisa ngendlela okuyiyona yona. Siyabonga kakhulu Nzwakele ngalokho. You are a living testimony of what we mean when we speak of an ANC that is rooted in a culture and ethos of non-sexism, equality and meritocracy. Madam Speaker, the State of the Province address that the Honorable Premier delivered last week was very clear, an emphatic statement of intent that this ANC-led government is ready to be able to deliver. With renewed vigor, a better life for all the people of this province. Unlike political parties or other political parties that are driven by personalities.
I really hate to do what I'm doing, Honorable Kwala, but what is being done by Honorable Buthelezi is out of order and disrespectful to the House. Honorable Buthelezi, don't do what you are doing. Honorable Buthelezi, I'm speaking to you, Princess Buthelezi. You can't be answering phones here. No, but Honorable Buthelezi, I'm still speaking to you, addressing a matter with you. If you want to take a call, you step outside the House, please. You can continue.
Siyabonga Somlomo. The ANC is the only organization that is concerned with the total emancipation of all black people in general, but Africans in particular. As elected leaders, we humble ourselves before the people of this province and wish to assure them that we fully recognize and appreciate the agency with which we need to transform our society. Madam Speaker, the year 2023 also marks exactly 30 years since the brutal and barbaric murder of Comrade Chris Thembisile Hani on the 10th of April 1993. At the time of his murder, Comrade Hani was the General Secretary of the SACP, the South African Communist Party, and one of the brightest and most respected cadres of our liberation movement. The murder of Comrade Hani ushered in one of the darkest moments in our nation's already deeply painful history. If we did not have the kind of leadership that we had in the African National Congress, this country would have gone down in a very serious and a very bad history or civil war, because we did come back from a brink of civil war, but because of the nature of the leadership of the African National Congress, that was averted. We do appreciate that, the work that was done by those leaders. Comrade Chris Hani joined the ANC Youth League when he was very young, and he then joined the SACP in 1961, Umkhonto weSizwe in 1962. Following his arrest under the Suppression of Communism Act, he went into exile. And Chairperson Comrade Chris Hani was a member, or he led in a number of in a number of battles that happened outside the country, namely elevated Rhodesian Bush War, where he was part of those that participated there. Siyabonga kakhulu irole yakhe ayidlalile ngaba sikho la uma ngabe bekungeyena. We also are very much aware that he played a very crucial role in ensuring that female operatives, MK female operatives, were protected and given the support that they needed. Yingakho ke sihlalo sikhala kakhulu noma sifuna ukuzwakalisa ubuhlungu bethu ukuthi umbulali wakhe uYanus Walus wakhishwa ngeparole. Sikhuluma ngeforeigner lana esingayazi ukuthi yayingene kanjani eSouth Africa. Le decision le uma sekhishiwe kunjalo, i-decision esibona ukuthi ayizange ithathe into consideration ama-feelings omphakathi, ama-feelings efamily, ikakhulukazi ngoba umuntu lesaziyo ukuthi umndeni wakhe ne-country aphuma kuyona wathi ngaphuma wayecelebratewa as a hero, even though wacishe wathatha iSouth Africa wayefaka kwi-brink of civil war. Kusiphatha kabi ngempela ke lokho. With that said, Speaker, as the government of the ANC, we pride ourselves at being at the center of the infrastructure development revolution in this country through the Department of Human Settlement and Public Works. Through these departments, the government of the ANC has built more than 7.6 million houses in 9 provinces. However, we've built more than 25 million in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Loyo 25 million uhlanganisa inamba engaphezulu ka 111,000 eyindaweni zasemakhaya, into engakaze yenzeke phambili. Through these departments, the government of the African National Congress has managed to restore the dignity of those who have been living in squalid conditions, in informal settlement, and in unsafe mud houses in rural areas. And siyaqhubeka ke sizoqhubeka futhi sithembisa abantu bakwaZulu-Natal ukuthi sizoqhubeka nalokho esikwenzayo. Umhlonishwa uhlabisa sihlalo ushilo osimzwile ethi inkatha ithemba labantu bakwaZulu-Natal. Ngiyafisa nje ukukubuza ukuthi kuvelaphi lokho ngoba inkatha yayiphethe kwiprovince yakwaZulu-Natal long before I was born ngo-1975 kwaze kwawu-2004 asikaze sibone lutho eyayenza. Intuthuko ifike ngoba sekuphatha uhulumeni kaKhongolose ngo-2004. Ayikho imizi abayakha ngaphandle kwemizi eyayisolundi. Le mindlu esolundi yayakhelwa ubuholi benkatha, kodwa abantu bakithi bengakhelwa lutho. So uma bethi bazophatha benza umehluko, baletha muphi umehluko when they had more than 20 years to do so? They never did. Yingakho sihlalo bathi nabekhethwa ngoNovember 2022, the first thing abayenzile bengena eMhlathuze ukushintsha ibranding kamasipala kunokuthi bayolungisa inkinga zabantu. Abantu baseMhlathuze banenkinga namanzi, kodwa bona bafuna ukufaka amakhala abo kuphela bengenzi lutho okunye balethela abantu. Awu, kazi umuphi umehluko enizowenza? This ANC government has also provided affordable rental stock in the form of social housing and community residential units for scores of people within a relatively short walking distance to their workplace, and we will continue to do so. Again, IFP together with the apartheid government built only hostels. Watuga, you were part of the apartheid government. Build only hostels for abantu abamnyama because Inkatha never believed ukuthi abantu abamnyama baya deserve respect. Kodwa wafika lo hulumeni wawathatha lawo mahostela wawashintsha wawarenovate wawenza ama-family dwellings. That is the kind of government that the African National Congress is, and that is the kind of work and commitment that the ANC will continue to implement in the areas esiphila kuzona. Uhulumeni ka-African National Congress awukholelwa ekutheni asikhule sidevelophe ngokuhlukana. Yingakho kunama-projects abizwa ama-catalytic projects afana neyaseConubia, eyasempangeni ebizwa ngokuthi Integrated Residential Development Project, eyasemajuba ebizwa ngokuthi Integrated Residential Development Project nayo, to name just a few. Uhulumeni kaKhongolose uyazi ukuthi abantu abamnyama bayadeserve ukuhlonishwa like anyone else. That's why we will continue to be those that are bringing umehluko in the lives of our people. Speaker, Premier spoke about indaba ye-load shedding, and into esiyithandayo noma ngisangena in detail, kodwa she has instructed government departments, particularly lezi ze-service delivery, to go and explore alternative energy to their different departments of to the different roles that they do. Siyakwamukela-ke lokho with open arms because uma sikwenza siyulo hulumeni kusho ukuthi abantu abeza emnyangweni wezempilo ngeke basahlupheka. Abantu uma beza emnyangweni wezempilo ngeke basajikiswa ngenxa yokuthi ugesi awukho. But ogogo kuma old age homes ngeke basabalale bengadlile just because ugesi awukho. Sizoqhubeka swenze umsebenzi wabantu. Siyabonga Somlomo.
The next member for 8 minutes on behalf of the Democratic Alliance is the Honorable F.A. Rogers. Honorable members, before Honorable Rogers takes the debate, honorable members, you cannot answer your phones in the House, regardless of how urgent the call is. Step out. I've seen members stepping out when the call are here. Okay, ngizowabiza ngamagama bengikhuluma ngoba bekungu-Honorable Buthelezi, Honorable Hlongwa that was doing that. Step out. I have seen Honorable Kaula stepping out with a phone. So, honorable members, it's really something that we cannot tolerate. I request you, colleagues, all of you, don't answer phones in the House. Honorable F.A. Rogers, take your 8 minutes, sir.
Dabulera Somlo Mama. An issue that was raised by both His Majesty and the Premier was the pandemic of crime facing our province. It is rampant and it's totally out of control. But before I proceed on to the topic of crime, I have a question. Why does every other single province in the country release its crime stats and KwaZulu-Natal appears not to? Doesn't really make sense. Is there something that we're hiding? Or is there any truth in the rumor that there's a standing decision that no stats will be released without the approval of the provincial executive? I really hope that's not the case. I believe that the pandemic of crime in our province has deeper roots than purely the lack of manpower, capacity, and equipment. This pandemic has its roots in both socio-economic disparities, unemployment, and the real lack of deterrent for criminals. And I noted Honorable Duma made a comment. We don't always agree. And his comment the other day that I read in the media was that democracy shouldn't just give you the right to vote, it should give you the right to economic freedom, something we aspire to. Some interesting facts, Madam Speaker, and disturbing facts. All crime committed in this province of KwaZulu-Natal, 50% of SAP's officials are either involved or have taken to turning a blind eye. 50%. This is a shocking stat of our state of our affairs, and yet we believe by increasing the number of boots on the ground, we'll somehow arrest crime in the province. Here's another disturbing fact. I know it's not a provincial mandate, but the province has 18,000 beds in correctional centres, but we currently have 23,000 inmates in prison. When it comes to crime in our province, we can no longer treat the symptom. It's time we started to address the cause. The people's patience are running out, and rightly so. This leads me to another scourge in our province that seems to continue unabated with little or no intervention, and that's the political killings and the killings of traditional leaders. His Majesty rightly referred to this in his address, but once again, after the past few years of SOPA addresses, the scourge is highlighted, but no solutions are put on the table. I had, in fact, Madam Speaker, written to the Honourable Premier's predecessor and requested a roundtable meeting of all political leaders in the province to discuss this matter and to find solutions to the ongoing killings. Because let's be honest, Honourable Premier, the majority of these killings are politically motivated. Hence, the conversation needs to start with us. I challenge you, Honourable Premier, to undertake this process, as His Majesty so rightly requested. This is your opportunity to be bold, be brave, and literally take the bull by the horns. Moving on to bigger failures in our province, and that local government, which you touched on in your address, and it was interesting. And a welcome note that you spoke about turning around local government. Time will tell. The allocation of grant funding to municipalities. You seem to conveniently or inadvertently forget to read the paragraph below that. And that paragraph stated that 50% of municipalities underspent their conditional grants. So not reading that paragraph will not make it disappear. It remains a problem. Once again, if we'd had a capable and ethical governance in our municipalities, this would never happen. I would almost go as far as to say is that the collapse of municipal infrastructure under the expenditure of grant funding should be treated as treason. I cannot believe that the average person in our province wants to hear about a smart city, or wants to hear about a Durban Eye project, or a new legislature precinct, or a maritime university. What people want is for this government to fix what is broken, getting things working before we talk about the nice to haves. The people's patience is running out, rightly so. Once again, we heard about Operation Pay on Time. I'm really not sure why we need an operation of this nature. It should be a departmental prerequisite, nothing more and nothing less. If it's not adhered to, then there should be consequences for the relevant official. Let me give you an example of a department that continually fails to assist the poorest of the poor. Today, I'm told we have various NPOs in social development who have joined us, and I'm also told that payments haven't been made to these NPOs, that payment is being delayed. What's the problem? All I can say is shame on you, social development, shame on you. The people's patience is running out, Premier. A state of the province that is full of sloganeering just doesn't cut it anymore. The province is now becoming renowned for its ever-increasing potholes, both in number and in size. Last year, the then MEC of Transport waxed lyrically about Operation Valama Pothole. Other than the MEC becoming a victim in one of our own potholes, the situation in our roads has deteriorated. So we welcome the staggering amount of 2.5 billion rand for potholes. But the sad reality is, Premier, that the Department of Transport is guilty continually of under-expenditure. So what's going to change this year? The people's patience is running out. I leave you with this, Madam Speaker. Governance is not an ordained right. It is a mandate by the people, and for the people. When governance fails the people, that's when people's patience runs out. This is happening right across our province. Taking a governance mandate for granted will ultimately see a change in government in 2024. This penultimate state of the province by the ANC is living proof of that. Ndiyabulela Somlomo.
The next member for 8 minutes on behalf of the IFP is the Honorable VF Tabisa. Honorable Tabisa for 8 minutes.
Honorable Premier and Honorable Speaker, can I bring this information to Honorable Mjali? In 1988, when I arrived at the University of Zululand as a student, I went to the library and read the Commission's report on the violence of 1983. The report clearly spells out the violence was between UDF, ANC supporters and IFP supporters. The first person who was killed in that violence was an IFP member, which sparked a retaliation that led to the death of students. That is the recorded information. Secondly, can I also bring this information? We are reliably informed that a certain political party whose leaders are stressed and have sleepless nights of losing the by-elections held a meeting. In that meeting, a plan was crafted that you must draw the IFP to the violence narrative so that you divert their attention. Now, let me assure you that political party will start to respond by making noise. Just listen to this one. Sisazonyisa kuma-by-elections. Honorable, no, yeah, if you used to buy them, go and buy them. Honorable MEC Stolem Loyi and Honorable Simelane.
Honorable Ngoche, I am pretty nguni, and I know Leli Gama Obulbiza that in the Nguni it is not parliamentary. Thank you so much. No, the reason that his mic was off is because mine was on at that time, so they have put them back. He will withdraw it officially when I switch mine.
I withdraw some long. Honorable Speaker, let me respond to Honorable Stolem Loyi and Honorable Smelane. The issue of the mayor of Nkandla was won by the IFP in the highest court of the land. Secondly, you know the truth. The IFP built more than 6,000 classrooms during the erstwhile KwaZulu government. That is on record. That is on record. Let me tell you again, it is the IFP that built colleges of education. It is the IFP that built Eskawini Township, Ezakeni Township. It is the IFP that built townships for black people. So if you say it didn't do anything, you must go and look at the evidence. Honorable Premier, Honorable Premier, this province is bleeding with unprecedented high levels of gender-based violence, violence of children, especially girls, and rape. As a province, it should concern us that always, when the crime statistics of the country are released, KwaZulu-Natal usually tops the list in many reported instances, as was the case with the recent reports of the third quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year. In the trio crimes, murder, attempted murder, rape, sexual offenses, and kidnapping cases, KwaZulu-Natal comes top in areas of Inanda and Umlazi. KwaZulu-Natal Places took a bad trophy on robbery at residential properties. In all the above categories, KwaZulu-Natal has an average of 8 police stations in the top national 30. These figures are a reflection of a province that is failing to fight crime. To solve crime and these many instances, we just need to get the basics right. We do not need, Honorable Premier, to consider returning retired detectives. No, retired detectives must be left in retirement. In fact, that will be a vote of no confidence to the current men and women in blue. We need the government that is willing to fight crime head on, that will prioritize crime as enemy number one against the people and crack it down. How? Recruit and employ young, energetic, and physically fit policemen and women and make them more visible in our communities, but with dedicated focus in every street in the hotspot areas. Build more police stations. If funds limit, provide mobile police stations in hotspot areas and provide proper and adequate resourcing to police stations. Refresh and provide advanced training to existing detectives so that they become sharp in arresting criminals. We need to tighten the screws of the law and be tough on criminals. We need to have police personnel that will be prepared and dedicated to fight crime. We need to have police that will take criminal down and let our communities once again live a free life. We need the government that will put South Africa and South Africans first. Drones and microchips can then follow later. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Premier, as I said, it was a cut and paste. You committed to the new smart coastal city as a decisive action. Your predecessor spoke about this. Nothing has happened. This reminds me of the President Ramaphosa's dream of 2019 of a smart city, the bullet train. No one speaks about the bullet train today. We are still waiting for a day that will see the dream of a smart city coming into existence. Honorable Premier, the ANC-led government has failed to complete a number of projects, a number of roads, bridges, some date 10 years, 15 years, the road P713, the road P451, the road P735 is more than 10 years incomplete, roads with less than 50 kilometers. I felt sorry for you, Honorable Premier, Maui commit out Dabeneluga Gesi. Izolo when I read Mail and Guardian, ngigezi izandla, mawumengameli wezwe ethi akanayo obligation yokumisa i-load shedding. Ngitheke ngigezi izandla ngoba load shedding has affected our economy, destroyed the lives of our people. Honorable Premier, njengoba ngishilo, abantu bakwaZulu-Natal imbeleko sebeyilahlile. Thank you.
The next member for 12 minutes is the Leader of Government, Business and MEC for Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. On behalf of the ANC, Honorable S.A. Duma, for 12 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for affording us this opportunity. Mahubela, the Premier, the Deputy Chair of the Province, Magujwa, and the entire collective of the ANC in Southeast House. Madam Speaker, today we meet as the House to reflect on the progressive address by the Premier of the Province of KwaZulu-Natal, Ms. Nomusa Qhamukile Dube-Ncube, in a state of the province commonly known as SOPA. Honorable Speaker, members, indeed, KZN State of the Provincial Address was a comprehensive statement which assumed up the contextual developments taking into account all pressing issues of the day, a clear program of action on the question of energy crisis intervention programs. This was well summarized in the KwaZulu-Natal Energy Security Plan, a clear program of action on creating job opportunities for young people and the mass employment program of the province, a clear program of action on strengthening the fight against crime, fraud and corruption. Even abantu bakandwengezi bazwile ukukhulunywa ngabantu baseMarani Hill bayazi ukuthi sokwenzala nabantu bakaMashu, abantu bakoNongoma, abantu bakoMsinga, abantu bakoMthwalume. A clear program of action on the faster implementation of the economic recovery reconstruction plan, a clear program of action on the question of dealing with basic services and maintenance of basic infrastructure, a clear program of action on building a capable, agile state which is able to deliver on these critical matters, Honorable Speaker. With these clear priorities, there are no reasonable grounds to dismiss the robust seriousness and scope of the SOPA to deal decisively with these challenges of the KZN, be they socio-economic in nature, socio-political, infrastructure-related, structural, even fiscal. The ANC in the epoch has demonstrated careful thoughtfulness in applying itself to matters of governance and leadership in government. Madam Speaker, honorable members, how can we forget the gallant towering figure of the person of O.R. Tambo, whose life and time so amply shaped the modern South African today, humble servant of the aspiration of millions of disenfranchised Black and Indigenous Africans. In Africa, in the diaspora, a teacher, a mathematician, a historian, a theologian, an international diplomat, the longest-serving president of the ANC. From all our life, we can draw time lessons that remain relevant beyond the imperial, colonial, and neo-apartheid society, Madam Speaker. I'm sure it's a dynamic, it's a dichotomy and a contradiction on its own that we had to debate with the president of IFP at the level of province, and is talking about the president who resides at National Assembly. I'm sure you are also in the corner. I never thought, Honorable Speaker, at this level we'll hear Honorable Hlabisa uttering insult. That's how stressful he is. He has reached that level. We've been understood. In fact, we've been accustomed to a member who is not uncouth in practice. We take you as a gentleman. Let me give you a brotherly advice, because you are a leader as well, in a nice way, that not you as the leader. We expect that you can't be uncouth. And it is always correct that the issue of collegiality amongst ourselves as leaders, because if we are talking about the issue of murder, if we are talking about the issue of war zone, it's something that we all don't want to go there. And amongst the principle, we thought that we could always extend hand and talk to you in that way. And I wouldn't want you to be tightened in that corner. That is why we are just humble request that let us manage this matter correctly, because it has a replica effect, and it will not be correct. But let me highlight some few matters, Honorable Speaker, that on the issue of crime in particular, the issue of ratio when it comes to police, the retired detectives in particular are going to deal with cold cases, and it requires a proper experience. It cannot just be done by anyone in the process. Honorable Speaker, I must highlight that we saw how you presented, how you conducted Isilo, Mrs. Zulu Ndlulamithi Yamakhosi in his maiden speech, how you organized it. It was prowess, there was power, there was that understanding that we are ordaining and ushering a new event in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We just want to thank you so much for ensuring that it becomes a nice thing. There are a lot of matters, Honorable Speaker. Unfortunately, the Siyabonga Ntuli, they are referring to him today, was employed by them. Yet they are coming to lament and understand at some point in time. And Sizwile Bulawayo, you are so stressed about the relationship because you are saying that we are in the EFF today. You are with an apartheid Democratic Party. I don't think you even sleep. Your relationship is even worse. It's a marriage made in hell. He also highlighted, Honorable Speaker, I think it's a reverse psychology. Honorable Premier, I'm sure he meant that how you presented that SOPA is carrying in such a way that you were attracting a lot of people, the confluence effect. I think he's more worried about that. To say that it was uninspiring is a psychology, because you can't just stand in this podium and also say that, no, you've done a job well done. Honorable Rogers, I don't think at this point, you are unique on your own. In fact, I've been saying this because you are also a leader. You know that you lead a racist organization. And I'm always highlighting that, in fact, they made them a grievous offense. They should have sent the Buwe to his pingo, because it does not even understand culturally how we live. Those people are subjected into that pariah environment on a day-to-day basis. We grew up from that elementary framework. It is what we know, it is what we lived. To go there as a leader and say that you can only sleep one day, it's so unfortunate. It's a very bad sketch, and it does not assist. But you also spoke about the issue of these NPOs, NGOs. There are 600 in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. 120 are not paid in February because how the month is structured. So please follow the case and just understand. Honorable Hlabisa, a smart city exists in Stain City. I'm even willing to take you there, what was echoed by the president. What the Premier is suggesting in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, you will see and envisage. In fact, amongst other things, Zwagele, what we also suffer as the ruling party, we have delivered more. So there is that contestation that those who does not have houses yet, those who does not have road infrastructure, those who does not have clinics are saying that they're yearning for more to be harvested, because it is what that has been happening at this point in time. I'm sure we must just advance that these days the issue of water, the above infrastructure. Currently, you go, Umgeni is building some dams under the authority of water. Umkomasi Dam is being built as we speak. The 8 priorities of the KwaZulu-Natal government highlighted in the State of the Province statement are what President O.R. Tambo used to say, which is People's Parliament pronounced and pursuing this era of national democratic revolution. These 8 priorities highlighted in our SOPA: achieving quality basic services for the people, creating real permanent jobs and employment opportunities, growing an inclusive economy where all the people participate, growing SMMEs and cooperatives, which have been built under ITARA. Currently, we are even dispersing a lot of money targeted to our youth so that they could just live and make a proper life, ensuring education and skills development to upskill our people, improving human settlement and sustainable livelihood, building a peaceful province that is crime-free and violence-free. I must also highlight once again, Honorable Premier, Honorable Speaker, that the reality is that the real crime in the country called South Africa is perpetuated by white male who are running monopolies and cartels. The drugs you see on a day-to-day basis, it is done by them. There is no one who will come from township and rural area who know the price of a horn, of a rhino horn, how much that is. It is 1.5 million. They use the drones, they use the choppers. It means that it is only someone with proper resources. And fortunately, Tapua knows those people because they know the technical contemporaries, and we are dealing with those people. I mean, I wouldn't want us to polarize the issue of crime. The murder rate is high as a result of the scarcity of resources because these drug lords who are white males in our country are ensuring that there is a contestation of processes. And amaphoyisa ayasaba ukubabopha, amaphoyisa ayabanqena because of the issue of ideological superstructure. And we are just giving amaphoyisa ukuthi akabophe yonke into ubugebengu buze buphele ezweni lethu. Madam Speaker, the provincial treasurer is another backbone for the care of the provincial government's fiscal and monetary policy prudence. Through our close relationship and interaction with the Office of the MEC for Finance, we are currently doing around the clock to ensure that economic recovery plans and programs are well aligned with the overall functions of the entire work of the government, which has been tabled as essential to talks to pre-COVID economic environment where we come from recently. The RRP as well also underway to deal with post-pandemic outlook, which talks to overall trajectory and direction of the KZN economic recovery as a whole moving forward. All these key points are well addressed in the SOPA 2023. She is lucky, Honorable Chiliza, that in her maiden speech, someone decided to talk and use a quote from our gallant fighter. I don't think we have read Frantz Fanon, the real context. You are just reading. If you'll understand the realities, what follows in your articulation weaken everything. So in the near future, for now, just to quote someone without understanding the issue of cognitive dissonance will deal with your personality, and we will want at least you must grow. We wouldn't want to destroy you at this point in time. We must just deliberate with those matters. There are a lot of matters, Honorable Speaker, at this point in time. Esikshilo ngiyafisa ke kodwa ke sifundisane ukuthi ke ngoba omasipala babehanged KwaZulu-Natal ingabawinanga iIFP yamanage ukubathola ingazikhohlisi sekubuyele ekutheni manje kuyasetshenzwa babuyela back umnikazi wabo ANC abantu bonke bathi khongolose wena okwazi ukusinakekela wena okwazi ukuthi noma siku-coalition sinikezane izinto ngoba njengamanje sibuyela back kwi-service delivery basic element bona benza izimbizo ezincane benza amaphathi babiza ama-artists kuyadlalwa uthula sizwe umeya usahlala kuma-tender committee ngo-2023 as we speak adecide ukuthi le tender liya ngakuphi and it's uncouth, it's something efana ngabe yenzeki and siyafisa sikhuze siyabonga kakhulu usomlomo ukusinikeza ithuba.
Honorable members, we have honorable members, I don't know what you have done, Honorable Duma. I have never heard Honorable Kumede shouting. It's the first time. Actually, today I'm hearing things that I've never thought. I've never heard that voice from Honorable Kumede. I've got two surprises. Honorable Shabis and Honorable Kumede have surprised me today. I now call upon the Honorable Premier to come and respond to the state of the province debate for 30 minutes.
Siyabonga somlomo asibingelele wona wonke amalungu shamthetho ahloniphekile sihlalo kaKhongolose Mthombeni siyabonga sibingelele amalungu omphakathi akhona wonke sibingelele nje bonke abahlonishwa sifisa ukuqala ukubonga uhlanga lomhlabathi ngokuthi asivulele iParliament lethu njengoba kade enzile ngesonto elidlulile. Siyafisa futhi ukuxolisa kakhulu kungangezwe lakhe ngalo budlobongela obenziwe ngamalunga ahloniphekile alendlu we-EFF ngoba lokhu ngempela kukhombise ungasihloniphi isilo ukuthi ngathi khona indlu lamithi phambi kwethu bese kuba khona abahlonishwa abazobehave ngaleya ndlela baze bacule phambi kwasisilo. Siyaxolisa impela nje kusilo samabandla nakuyona yonke indlu enkulu ethe yaphoxeka ukuthi phambi kwayo ivakashela abahlonishwa kwenzeke kanje. Honorable members, I do wish to say that unfortunately we have honorable members abangafundi abafuna ukuzilalela bona basho into efuna uyibona kodwa ke asizugxila kakhulu kulokho. Honorable Caluza siyavuma ukuthi sizolandelela unkanku njengoba ushilo kodwa kwi report iyasho ukuthi no honorable member ushilo ukuthi ngonyaka odlule I think uRogers uthe it was 150. This year if you read the statement it talks about 300, I think 356, and it also talks about the ones that have been completed. It's not the same, but it's fine. Honorable members, I also wish to say that Honorable Hlabisa, honestly, I do feel that we shouldn't go to an extent yokuthi sikhuluma amazwi anjengokuthi IFP ayizuvumela uBanontuli ukuthi angene as if this is your personal. This is not your personal, you know, a thing. Tuba is a government, it's a municipality, and let it be governed. Ngemthetho ekhona yase South Africa. It's honestly, but also the way you are saying it, it clearly shows udlame ozama ukuthi ulehle lapha kuleya ndawo. And I'm being honest to say I get disappointed when I get a leader like yourself that I respect going to this extent. Of course ngiyazi ukuthi kodwa ke yilabahlonishwa laba abakuhlupha eceleni abalokhu behlebela izinto ezingaphilile. I do feel that honorable members indaba zakahulumeni ukuthi amalungu ahloniphekile athi ayikho into ebambekelayo ebilapha kulesa speech iyadabukisa ngempela ngoba sikhulume kabanzi ekutheni umphakathi wakithi yini ezokwenzeka mayelana nodlame, yini ezokwenzeka mayelana nogesi kanye futhi nangendaba yemsebenzi. Siyafisa ukusho la emalungini ifile. Siyafisa ukusho emalungini ahloniphekile ukuthi udaba lase Mozambique no lase South Africa kakhulukazi honorable Hlabisa siye lapha ngesonto edlulile nomhlonishwa ucele sayibophezela ukuthi kuzoba khona omnye umhlangano kulesonto siya kulona ukuyokhuluma nalo ladaba. Umhlonishwa ucele uhlangane no minister wase Mozambique ngomhla ka9 eCape Town ngenxa yokubaleka nokuphuthuma kwalo ladaba lwalaphayana. Udaba lezimoto zabantu balapha eSouth Africa siyazazi siseyinhlelweni zokuthi kufinalizwe le umsebenzi yenziwa by the both ministers and both the countries about ukudila nodaba lalaphaya emhlabi yalingana. Kodwa okunye okubalekile ukuthi uma ngabe sikhuluma ngendaba yodlame but also sikhuluma ngendaba yecrime ayasho amalungu ahloniphekile umhlonishwa uDuma just said it as well ukuthi we can't be standing here honorable Hlabisa and saying we don't need many police on the roads. We don't need many police ukuthi asebenze emphakathini because lokho ngeke kuqede udlame. Yebo kuyiqiniso ukuthi angeke umuntu nomuntu abe nephoyisa ekhaya kodwa the more we have the visibility of police, the more as well criminals would know that there is no nonsense against violence or against crime. Okunye okubalekile ngicabanga ukuthi kuyabaleka la abahlonishwa ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi ayukho ugebengu obuzoqedwa by leaders. I'm sad nje honorable Rogers ukuthi ucabanga ukuthi masihlale etafuleni eliround kuzophela ubugebengu. I don't believe. I believe that we need to take the issue of crime fighting and criminals emphakathini because igebengu sifihlwa imphakathi, igebengu sifihlwa abantu, ibona kufanele bakhiphe igebengu, ibona futhi abafanele bakhiphe impahla abayithenga egabangeni umphakathi wethu okufanele usho ukuthi isigebengu ngiyasazi sihlale namba bani asisikhiphe ukuhlala kwethu etafuleni la siphuza amanzi hayi ngiyaxolisa mhlonishwa angeke kuze kusisize ngiyacabanga ukuthi kubalekile futhi ukuthi amalungu ahloniphekile akhulumile la uMantshinga ukhulume kabanzi ngokuthi uhulumeni wethu wenzani ekuletheni amathuba omsebenzi kakhulukazi kulusha kanye nokuthi uhulumeni ulisiza kangakanani ulusha olusema university kanye nalabo abafuna ukuvula amabhizinisi wabo izinto kufanele ngabe abahlonishwa la bayebheka ukuthi lokho esikukhulumayo ngabe kuyiqiniso na noma kokho ngoba uMantshinga uze wanikezela ama examples abambekayo ukuthi kukuphi okwenzakalile amapha amabhizinisi wabantu abasha asebenzayo esiwabone ethuthuka njengamanje. Honorable Rogers uqinisile impela ukuthi omasipala abaningi abasebenzi iqiniso ngoba yabona nje mongaya lapha ya emzinyathi nasothukela abantu basothukela have been without water for 2 weeks now lapha ya ezakheni and abantu basothukela not only yourself ngokwakho you went to lapha ya othukela you went there as a DA and you also said as a DA you are asking the president to get the SIU to investigate ubugebengu crime kanye ne-corruption elapha ya othukela kusho wena sikubonela naseyithombeni sabona ne-statement sakho manje usuza la usuzokhuluma as if awazi ukuthi kwenzakalani. I do wish to remind you as well ukuthi omasipala nje manganika isibonelo sawu2 umasipala wasemajuba umasipala wasemzinyathi bathole incwadi ezithi uhulumeni uNational Treasury is withholding ama grants because they are not spending the money. That is what we're talking about when we talk about corruption and omasipala bangasebenzi, and that is what you should be talking about here ukuthi ilabo omasipala baphethwe inkatha. And it's true, we must not hide, we must not beat about the bush, we must not beat about the bush ngoba iqiniso liyababa. Let's be honest, uma ngabe omasipala wasogwini kunento abangazenzi kahle, let's tell it as it is. Uma ngabe kumasipala wenkatha, let's tell it as it is, asingafihla amaqiniso la. Into engifisa ukuyisho la ukuthi ama-NPOs ngiyakholwa ukuthi umhlonishwa uDuma ukhulumile ngawo sakusho futhi ukuthi ama-NPOs enye into kuhle ngoba ayeza la namhlanje azosho ukuthi imali awakayitholi kodwa masebenza abanye basebenza ngokucwasa kube sengathi imali ephuma emaphaketheni yabo kodwa kube kuyimali kahulumeni kodwa ke ushilo ungqongqoshe umphathisi ukuthi cha into yenzakalile it's because inyanga iphela ngomhla ka28 otherwise bazobe sebekhokheliwe by umhla ka3 esikubongayo ke lokho mhlonishwa kakhulu. Honorable members ngiyafisa ukuthi la emsebenzini esikhuluma ngawo wokuthi kufanele ukuthi sonke sibambisane ekulwisaneni nobugebengu kanti futhi na kwi crime eyenzakalayo kuhulumeni nasemnyangweni yohulumeni ehlukahlukene. Ngizanikeza nje ukuthi i-report eya-issuishwa u-Department of Public Service wakhuluma ukuthi only 3 officials like KZN senior managers who did not go through that vetting. And if you look at the report that was issued by the Office of the Premier, 64 SMS members in the employ, 12 SCM members, and further to this, the Office of the Premier added other categories for vetting for the lifestyle audit, and that is in the report of the Public Service Commission. So you're not going to come here and say sakhuluma nge-lifestyle audit ayenze. It's happening. Go to the report and read the report. You're not going to come here and grandstand. If we talk about e-vetting, 104 employees have since also been vetted by the state security agents. We are talking about things that are happening here. You talk as if these things are not happening. I'm talking about things ezibhalwe la ezenzakalayo so that ungezi la abantu baqabanga ukuthi ukhuluma iqiniso kanti lento ikhulumayo ayilona iqiniso neze. Ngiyafisa ukusho la ukuthi Honorable Shinga ukuthi i-speech uma ngabe usifunde ngendlela yokuthi ubheke ukuthi uhulumeni uthi uzokwenzani akubi novel kodwa uma ujwayele ufunda ke
magazine nama novel uzocabanga ukuthi nale novel cha kuyona mhlonishwa inovel le umsebenzi obaleke kabi lo wesizwe siwenzayo futhi siyafisa ukuthi wazi ukuthi mangabe sikhuluma ngokukhuliswa komnotho nanokulethwa kwama investors kusifundazwe sethu maningi ama investors including even OSAPI including even Toyota who are even expanding imisebenzi yabo neinkampani zabo ngenxa yokuthemba ubuholi bale province eholo ukhongolose ngenxa yokuthemba lo hulumeni ukuthi uyawazi umsebenzi owenzayo ngiyajabula ukuthi uyasho nokuthi kukhona into ekuthiwa oceans economy ngoba lento ekuthiwa oceans economy uyibone nayo lapha kwi speech manje kodwa usukhuluma ngokuthi izoba expensive ayikazi ibe expensive mhlonishwe oceans economy masikhuluma nge-oceans economy sikhuluma ngomnotho olapha ya olwandle wezinto ezihlukahlukene ngiyabona umhlonishwa ukuthi uyadideka makuthiwa oceans economy uthi expensive cha ayikwazi ibe expensive mhlonishwa oceans economy umhlonishwa ukhuluma ngokuthi i-biogas izobiza mhlonishwa masikhuluma nge-biogas sikhuluma ngokusetshenziswa kukhona i-technology esinayo nizoyibona nje sizonimema abanye ukuthi nibone lento ukuthi yenzeke sayenza lapha ekhingcetshwayo kusaphethe ukhongolose umkhandlu sahamba kahle namanje soqhubeka nawo into esiyenzayo nge-biogas kuthatha ubulongwe mhlonishwa khona i-technology ekhona ufake nje ibhakede likhanyisa ifridge likhanyisa umuzi libasa istofu libase ifridge yona biogas ke leyo mhlonishwa angeke ibe expensive ngobulongwe nje bebhakede elilodwa cha hayi mhlonishwa hayi kabi honorable members ngiyafisa ukuthi uma ngabe sikhuluma ngendaba ye-load shedding sazi ukuthi sikhuluma ngani njengamanje the government has issued ama-regulations azama ukuchaza ukuthi umongameli ubekuthini noma ubenzani mangabe ethi udeclare i-state of emergency endabeni kagesi nokuqedwa ke-load shedding njengoba umhlonishwa uSimelane ebekesho khona la namanje ama-regulations ayakusho ngokusobala ukuthi le regulations or le state of emergency will provide measures to address the effects of disaster as well as preventing the escalation of electricity supply constraints by requiring all spheres of government to adopt energy-saving measures to ensure the continuous operation, including the continuous operation of health facilities, water, and essential infrastructure, the release and mobilizing of resources, ensuring that the personnel that renders umsebenzi we-emergency services, the personnel that deals with electricity and energy, they are provided with funds so that umsebenzi kagesi ukwazi ukuthi uqhubeke. Kusho ama-regulations. Uyaqhubeka lo mthetho umongameli mayochaza ukuthi uchaza ukuthini. Uthi lana, when we talk about the spatial planning, the emergency will also assist us ukuthi in terms of the subdivision and the exemptions of the agricultural land must be effected. Manje njengoba sekhona lama regulation, agricultural land and productive land isizoba excluded from load shedding. Njengoba kadesho umhlonishwa uSithole Moloyi kusho ama regulations and ngiyafisa ukuthi abahlonishwa bayifunde lezi zinto khona bengeza ukuzoma la bakhohlisa abantu basho izinto ezingekho ngoba bona bengafundanga kodwa abantu bese benikezwe info ulwazi olurong. Iyasho la i-regulation ukuthi the ESCOM, including any individuals that are able to generate their own electricity, they will facilitate to ensure that is brought to the grid, but also people are now going to be able to work on their own electricity mechanism so that there are no bylaws or no regulations should stop people from generation. These are the regulations that are enabling that. The regulations are also talking about ensuring that we require water providers to revise their minimum operation levels, to exempt water providers from penalties for exceeding maximum demands during the load shedding. Yizo zonke izinto ezizosiza even nomasipala ukuthi indawo zamanzi neziphehla amanzi kanye neziphehla ukwakhiwa ukulungiswa kwamanzi zingabe zisaload shedwa. Kodwa nalokho lama regulations athi manje uma kwenzakalile ukuthi i-load shedding ikhubaza mhlambe esinye istage sokuphehla amanzi, leso stage sizokwazi ukuthi sisizakale ngeimali ngenxa yokuthi ingena ngaphansi kwalombandela kokuba i-disaster. Yizo zonke izinto okukhulunywa ngazo la kulama regulations. Kuyakhulunywa nanokuthi we can facilitate any assistance, including international assistance to alleviate the disasters, including ensuring ukuthi ama-parts are bought locally, i-localization, because ezinye zezinto esifuna ukuthi zenzeke ukuthi uma kunenkinga enjengale kodwa abantu baka-local bakwazi nabo ukuthi ba-benefite by ama-parts, bakwazi ukuthi ba-benefite from these regulations esikhuluma ngazo. Uma ngabe ngizoya laphaya odabeni mhlambe lamhlonishwa okade ekhuluma ngeproject yalaphaya yase Lady Smith, kuyadabukisa ke khona ukuthi umhlonishwa amane ezela azokhuluma ngezinto angazazi, kodwa ke sizozama ukuthi sinikeze nezifundo zamahala, kakhulukazi bahlonishwa basavela nje kancane besafika becabanga ukuthi uma umila kufanele uyikhulumele noma yini, ukhulume nento engekho engabhalwe ndawo. Umhlonishwa uchiliza la ukhuluma ngokuthi kune project enezindlu engaphelanga. Le project emhlonishwa yakhulunywa njengokuthi yavela lapha ya kwi statement noma kwi speech sa Honorable Zikalala. U-Honorable Zikalala wakhuluma ngokuthi kunezindlu ezu-100 ezi-invadiwe laphaya kuleya ndawo. Waphinde futhi wakhuluma ngokuthi yini ezokwenziwa. Honorable Rogers no-Honorable Chiliza, kune case number kwi-forensic investigation under reference FR 24 of 2019 evuliwe with regard to this project, but also with regard to those people that were involved in fraudulently hijacking those houses and illegally occupying those houses. Over and above that, we have made our preliminary investigations in this regard, and the invasion by those 100 people of the project has also been given to the relevant department so that the arrest and the prosecutions can continue. I do want to say, honorable members, that we shouldn't paint everybody with a brush, particularly because siyabazi ukuthi uma ngabe kukhulunywa ngodlame olubhekiswe kubantu besifazane asingayithathi lento siyenze engathi into encane. Kubuhlungu kakhulu bahlonishwa uma ngabe kuzoza ama leaders here and talk about gender-based violence, but fail dismally ukuthi bazinuka amakhwapha ukuthi their own are involved, and say it openly so that abantu babone ukuthi acknowledge Honorable Hlabisa ukuthi bakhona abenze wrong emembeni zenkatha ukuhlukumeza abantu besifazane. You're not going to come here and pretend as if awezwa abantu bekhala ngalokho kuhlukunyezwa kwabantu besifazane. I know that you are a leader that is able to rise above everything. So we need all of us to condemn lama councillors asebenzisa ikhundla zabo ukuthi balale nabantu besifazane ngokungekho emthethweni, ngoba ukuhlukumezeka lokho, it's a crime against humanity, but also more than anything else, it is criminal that I can't even imagine ukuthi ngakwazi ukuthi uthi umhlonishwa bese uyayiziba into enjengale. Siyafisa ukusho ukuthi even ama gender-based activists, we do need to stand up against our leaders. Hide behind their political parties ekuhlukumezeni abantu besifazane kanye neingane kakhulukazi laba basebenzisa ikhundla zabo. I do want to say, honorable members, that the issue of crime is a very serious matter, but also don't make crime as if it's only here in South Africa. Go to America, go to Europe, everywhere there is crime. But the issue here that we are talking about is how do we as South Africans fight crime with everything that we have? How do we as South Africans hold hands and push back criminals? And that is what we're supposed to be talking about here. We're not supposed to be talking about crime as if it is somebody else that must do and fight crime. All of us must be involved in fighting crime. Everyone must be involved. You're not going to come here and talk and not give solutions, because crimes and criminals know ukuthi khona abantu abanjengani abazokhuluma nje kuphela about criminals bangenzi lutho. Thina we are going to do something about criminals and crime. Okunye ngifisa ukusho la ukuthi abantu kakhulukazi involved kwi criminal acts. Honorable Rogers uyasho ukuthi amajele agcwele, uyasho ukuthi abantu bayaboshwa zonke insuku. Kodwa manje mangabe khuluma uthi abantu bayaboshwa kodwa babuye bathi amaphoyisa wasebenzi. Yes, akhona amaphoyisa are bad. There are bad cops. There are bad apples there within the police force. There are good police out there. And we need to work with those good police. We need to rid the police force of those bad apples so that our people can feel safe, but also they can work with our police. But it's not going to happen, honorable members, when you come here and point fingers as if a crime belongs to one political party, as if crime must only be stopped by one political party. Everybody. In fact, one matter that I want to say here, honorable members, that when you look at the behavior of the honorable members of the EFF, it doesn't help with fighting violence. It doesn't help with fighting crime, because what they are showing there to the people on TV is to say violence is acceptable, crime is acceptable. The EFF members should really be ashamed of themselves that there are honorable members who are supposed to be leading by example, but they are showing our kids. They are showing our kids that it is okay for police to come inside the chamber and pull them out. That is wrong. We shouldn't be, we shouldn't be allowing something like that. And we should be able to be leaders. That is why I really feel that honestly, amaphupho abuhlungu kabi lawo. Amaphupho abuhlungu kabi lawo ngoba akusoze kwenzeka. Asiqale nje ekutheni abantu bayazi ukuthi abaholi akekho umholi ongamana jump phezulu kwetafula, akekho umholi ongamana jump abenquna akhipha isiso esikhulu ezifi siyabukeka. Ayikho yonke lonto. Yingakho ngempela kubalekile ukuthi abantu bakithi bayazi ukuthi uhulumeni kaKhongolose uhulumeni oziprovile ukuthi yes, uma ngabe kuthiwa kukhona lesisho esithi izinja zikhonkotha ehambayo. Yasibona leso sisho esithi izinja zikhonkotha ehambayo. Sisuke sikhuluma indaba yokuthi vele uma kukhona okuhle okwenzayo njengoba umhlonishwa uMthombeni ubesho ukuthi we are building more houses, we are getting people to have electricity, we're getting more people to have water, we're getting more people to get employment, to open their own businesses. And the more you are doing that, is the more other people are going to feel ukuthi nami ngifuna ukubona lokhu kwenzeka kumina ngokusheshsha. And that is what is happening in our country. And you should always be careful ukuthi ungahambi ucabanga ukuthi abantu ababoni izinto ezenhle ezenzakala empilweni zabo. Abantu bakithi bayayibona izinto ezenzakalayo. Even nange speech baningi abantu balapha KwaZulu-Natal ithemba labo elibuyayo ukuthi bayawubona uhulumeni ukuthi wenzani nanokuthi uyapi lapho yakhona. Yingakho angeke kusiphathe kabi kakhulu bahlonishwa ukuthi vele ama opposition parties ayikho vele into engaba normal ukuthi nizoza la nizothi hayi cha impela sibonile iSOPA ikhuluma kahle ngabe ku abnormal. Vele uma ngabe wenza into enhle angeke baze bakuncome labo phikisana nabo. Wongconywa vele yilabo abayifunayo into enhle ukuthi yenzeke. Honorable Chiliza, I also wish to say that siyathemba ukuthi mhlambe njengoba Honorable Chiliza khuluma ngokuthi i-government must insource and it must build pharmaceutical. Honorable Chiliza, you must know those things are already happening. Government has insourced the cleaning, the security, and a number of other areas of work. So uma uzoyifaka manifesto ungabisayifaka because sesiyenzile already. I do wish to say that in terms of how we are really working with our communities, Honorable Chiliza ukhuluma ngokuthi kufanele ukuthi abantu ba-arrestwe bese kungenzi lutho ngakho. You need to understand that we must talk about the whole chain yet judicial, because the fact that amajele agcwele, the fact that abantu bayaboshwa baphume, it means that amaphoyisa kukhona okuhle akwenzayo. Yingakho amajele egcwele. Yingakho sizoqhubeka futhi ukuthi amaphoyisa asebenza kahle aqhubeke nokubopha igilamkhuba, imphakathi esebenzayo iqhubeke futhi nokuthi isebenze kanye nathi. Imsebenzi esizoyakha bayishila abahlonishwa la, and it's not only on the EPWP. There are a lot of permanent jobs that we are going to be building. Abahlonishwa bakhulume la ngokuthi before the end of the year, into esishilo la SOPA, ukuthi before the end of this year, we would have been having more than 8,000 Wi-Fi hotspots in this province. And what does that mean? It means the digital economy. Njengoba uMagutshwa kade esho. What does that mean? It means a lot of young people are going to be able to open their businesses. A lot of young people are going to be able to trade. Even abafundayo, they'll be able to send their work to school. Even nalaba abafunda virtual. But also, it means access even to job opportunities. It means umuntu olaphaya emakhaya okade engenayo even connectivity. Uma ngabe sekhona iWi-Fi uzokwazi nanokuthi athole uku-answerishwa uma ngabe e-applyela imisebenzi. We also need to remind honorable members that udaba lwamanzi nokulethwa kwamanzi ngikushilo ku-statement la ukuthi uhulumeni ukhiphe ama-billions angakanani. And kulawo ma-billions ngiyafisa abahlonishwa la ke babe neqiniso bahambe bobuza omasipala ukuthi enziweni la ma-billions njengoba abantu behlelo 2 weeks or 2 months bengenamanzi. Uma ngabe sineqiniso singabahlonishwa sizohamba siyobuza ukuthi why abantu bangafakelwa ugesi kodwa uhulumeni ka-ANC eyifakile imali kwi-INEP yomasipala. Why abantu bengafakelwa ugesi? Yenzeni le mali ngoba mhlambe ngabe yenze lamagigi kade siwenza yenza lama-colors kufanele kuba ama-colors enkathi kade siwezwa la. Ngoba izinto ezinjengalezo kufanele abantu bazazi ngoba ziyiqiniso akufanele futhi siyifihle ngoba uma ngabe sithi njengenkathi sizophatha kusho ukuthi kuzophelwa ke phela la KZN ngoba phela kusho ukuthi yonke imali izohamba emagigini, yonke imali izohamba kumakhalazi, yonke imali izohamba kuyona yonke into. We need to understand ngempela ukuthi asiuvikele lo KZN ngoba siyawubona uyathuthuka after ama-floods, siyawubona uyathuthuka after i-COVID-19, siyawubona futhi uyathuthuka after izibhelu ezibekhona. Okwethu sonke ukuthi let's rally behind umsebenzi omuhle owenzekalayo. We are not saying when you are doing something wrong ningasitsheli. You must tell us when you're doing something wrong. But when there are things that are good that are being done, say it confidently. Ningabe nomona shiumona da kwayishola umphemo. Siyafisa ukubonga kuma honorable members ahloniphekile ngale debate ebenohlonze kanje. Sithembe ukuthi ama-honorable members angasitholanga isikhathi lawa abhalelwa ama-speeches kakhulukazi angasitholanga isikhathi sokuthi ayoyifunda le nkulumo ayifunde ukuze bazi ukuthi even kwi-ward yakho, even kwi-constituency yakho yini ezayo ekufanele ukuthi abantu bayithole ezolethwa ilo hulumeni kaKhongolose. Ngoba uma nenze njalo anizisizi nina kepha nosiza umphakathi njengoba kade sisho ukuthi uma ngabe sila asizirepresenti thina kepha sirepresenta umphakathi. Yingakho umphakathi uzobuthemba njalo ubuholi bakaKhongolose ukuthi sila ukuzokwenza every day umsebenzi wabantu, sila with the conviction of knowing ukuthi asizele la kuzoshintsha ama-colors, asizele la ukuzokwenza amagigi, asizele la ukuzokhuluma siveze imikhabe engathishu, kodwa sizosebenza sisebenzela abantu baseKwaZulu-Natal, sizozimisela ekutheni silwisane nobugebengu, sizozimisela ekutheni silwisane nobubha obukhona emphakathini, sizozimisela ekutheni sakhe amathuba omsebenzi kubona bonke abantu, hayi ukuthi amathuba omsebenzi atholwa abantu ngoba benamakhadi enkatha, hayi ukuthi amathuba omsebenzi atholwa abantu ngoba beyi-political party ethile. Okuwukuthi ngempela nje obesho okaMagutshwa imbi lento Masithole ukuthi lento yokuthi ngempela komasipala benkatha kukhishwa abantu be-EPWP, kukhishwa abantu emsebenzini ngoba bengayona inkatha. I'm saying to honorable members here, shame on those of the IFP who are doing that. I'm saying shame on them. And I hope the honorable member, the leader of the IFP, will go back and tell the members of the IFP, stop using jobs that are government money for IFP.
Honorable members, we want to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Premier, all members who were part of the debate and the parties to this House who have taken time to speak on matters that relate to crafting the oversight for the year. Thank our guests at the gallery. We hope that you will assist us to make these members and the members of the Executive Council accountable by delivering what has been promised by the Premier in your communities. Honorable members, with that said, we have come to the end of the sitting here today. We want to thank you for coming and those that are connected virtually, because we appreciate that all members made an effort to be with us. I think I have forgotten the House. Honorable members, thank you. The House is adjourned until Friday, the 10th of March at 9 o'clock, when we meet here for the provincial budget tabled by the MEC Finance.